Impactful Moments in American History podcast. Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com.
You never know who might be taking the quiz.
Hi, everyone. It's Candace Cameron Bure.
Hey, everyone. It's Phil Sims.
It's Dolores Catania.
Hey, everyone. I'm Kix Brooks.
It's Candace Bushnell.
I'm Rob Paulson.
I'm Ryan Serhant.
Hey, everyone. I'm Nicole Polizzi.
Hey, everybody's Kevin Nealon.
What's up, guys? It's Nia Sue, and it's time to take the quiz.
5 questions in less than 5 minutes every day. Listen and follow at thequiz.fox.
There has been a political shakeup in Hungary. The prime minister, with close ties to President Trump, who Vice President Vance went to Budapest to publicly support last week, ousted in an election.
After 16 years, Viktor Orbán's been ousted from power by Hungarian voters. Orbán's opponent, Peter Magyar, has been pledging to rebuild Hungary's relationships with the European Union and NATO. EU President Ursula von der Leyen congratulating Magyar with a statement saying Europe's heart is beating stronger in Hungary tonight. Orbán had been endorsed by President Trump, and the Hungarian leader was also seen as a loyalist to Russia's Vladimir Putin, who would never allow Ukraine to join NATO. Ukraine's President Zelensky congratulated Magyar on his victory, saying his constructive approach to the election triumphed. Jill Nato, Fox News.
On Wall Street, as oil prices rise back up, stock futures are down more than 200 points for the Dow. Coming off big gains last week, the Dow and the NASDAQ rose 3 to 4%. In golf, Rory McIlroy does it again.
Rory is a rare repeat winner at Augusta.
The final call and the final putt on CBS at the Masters, the first major tournament of the year. McIlroy edged Scotty Scheffler by 1 stroke to win for a second year in a row, just the 4th golfer to ever do that. In NASCAR, a big win for Joe Gibbs, the former Super Bowl winning NFL coach, now team owner. His grandson won at Bristol.
Blaney hugs the yellow line on the bottom, side by side. Ty Gibbs is a NASCAR Cup Series winner.
Courtesy FS1 in a green-white checkered finish, Ty Gibbs edged Ryan Blaney by less than a car length. It's the 23-year-old's first career Cup Series win. Defending champion Kyle Larson finished 3rd. The win moves Gibbs into 4th place in the season standings. Tyler Reddick continues to lead. Blaney is running 2nd.
That's Tim McMaster. I'm Dave Anthony, and this is Fox News.
Mike Lindell and the MyPillow employees want to thank you for your great support this past year. They want to make 2026 the best year ever. So to thank you, they are giving you free shipping on your entire order and wholesale pricing. So they are bringing back the mega sale. For example, the classic MyPillows, regularly $49.98, now only $14.98. Turn any mattress into the best mattress ever with the Made in the USA MyPillow My Mattress Topper and save up to $100. Get a set of MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets for as low as $29.98 or the 6-pack towel set for only $34.98. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. These offers won't last long, so call 800-489-0201 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY. Order now and your entire order ships absolutely free.
Perhaps you're a collector, or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions with their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions. They have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
A sacred season is approaching, a time to remember God's deliverance, the night he brought his people out of bondage and into freedom, Passover. This year, many of God's people will observe Passover under the shadow of war. Across Israel, red alert sirens pierce the air. Families rush to shelters with just seconds to spare. The elderly fear they'll be left behind. Parents hold frightened children as explosions shake the night. Sleeplessness and uncertainty are now part of daily life there. But Passover reminds us that God hears the cries of his people and answers with love and compassion. That's why the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is on the ground in Israel, providing food and emergency supplies, equipping bomb shelters, and caring for the elderly and Holocaust survivors, bringing comfort and safety to God's children. Join Christians around the world in praying for Israel during this sacred Passover season, asking God to bring protection, comfort, and peace to the Holy Land. Stand with Israel in prayer today by visiting supportifcj.org. That's supportifcj.org.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
Looking for a powerful way to support your immune system? Now's your chance to win a free bottle of Virgo, the immune enhancement cocktail made with 23 science-backed ingredients, including vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and natural nutraceuticals designed to support your body's natural defenses. 10 winners will each receive a free bottle. Hey, don't miss your shot to boost your wellness routine. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/immune. That's 560theanswer.com/IMMUNE.
It's April 13th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is National Scrabble Day, named for the birthday of creator Alfred Butts. It's the iconic board game where you spell words with letter tiles, hoping for that Q or Z to land on a triple letter score. Also on this day, at the age of just 21 years old in 1997, Tiger Woods won the Masters tournament. Not only was he the youngest to ever do so, he was also the first African-American to win it. In 1970, a problem in space that resulted in a famous quote. That's astronaut Jack Swigert. Apollo 13 crippled after an oxygen tank exploded, but the three-man crew did return safely to Earth. The story was turned into an Academy Award-winning movie in the mid-90s starring Tom Hanks, Kevin Bacon, Ed Harris, and Gary Sinise.
3 hours by the checklist. We don't have that much time.
I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us, and it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Feel like you're trying to push a boulder uphill wearing skates? If you run or manage a local business today, you're challenged like never before. We get it, and we want to help. We're Salem Surround. We're a full-service marketing agency that'll help you increase your customer base by designing incredibly effective plans to reach your consumers day, night, and everywhere they might be.
Salem Surround. Meet with a digital marketer today for ideas that will make your business stand out. Visit salemsurround.com.
You know the rush when you reach that goal, when something you've worked for pays off. That's success. At University of Maryland Global Campus, we believe you should never stop chasing it. That's why we offer a skills-based education that helps move your career forward. Learn how to apply emerging technologies like AI and data science. Build your leadership and critical thinking skills. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start May 13th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Hey AM 560 listeners, Jeff checking in again from jeffbuysyourhouse.com. What I learned serving our great nation in the military is that every mission is unique and success starts with listening. For nearly 20 years, our veteran-led house buying team has taken the time to understand what matters most to each homeowner we serve. Every home has a story and every seller has different needs. Whether you want a quick closing or need extra time to find your next place, we customize our approach around what works best for you. That's how we've earned hundreds of 5-star Google reviews and an A+ rating with the BBB, by putting relationships first. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and you pick the closing date that works best for your schedule. At jeffbuysyourhouse.com, we're here to help you through the entire transition, not just the transaction. Are you ready to work with a local team that takes the time to understand your home selling needs? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us today at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com.
You need to be tuning into the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, the radio companion to the Amazon best-selling book, Success Blueprint, How to Build the Retirement You Deserve. Each week, Michael shares strategies designed to help reduce market risk through income-generating investments that can provide steady returns. Because if you can avoid a big loss, you don't need to take big risks. Catch the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, Saturday mornings at 10, right here on AM 560 The Answer.
A small business affirmation from Progressive. Bakery owners, you will be loved today. Every pastry will be flaky. Your cake will make a child's day. Your delivery van won't get sideswiped by a distracted garbage truck driver. But if so, breathe easy, knowing you'll get back to business quickly with Progressive protecting your commercial auto. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
I am dedicated. I am TNT.
Team in Training will change your life with a marathon, half marathon, triathlon, or a cycle event, and you'll change the lives of blood cancer patients. Join TNT, fundraise for blood cancer patients, train with world-class trainers, and be part of the most exciting endurance sports events in the country. Or train on your own schedule with TNT Flex.
Join TNT now. Go to teamintraining.org.
What happens when a school is truly built around teenage girls? Their growth, their confidence, their faith, their future? You get bold young women who lead without hesitation, speak without fear, and discover exactly who they're meant to be. Rosary College Prep in Aurora is the only all-girls college prep high school in the western suburbs, and we've been doing this since 1962. We know how girls learn best. That's why our students thrive in STEM, the arts, and leadership at remarkable rates, even earning AP Platinum status from the College Board. At Rosary, your daughter won't just be educated. She'll be seen, challenged, and supported every single day. Girls here collaborate, inspire each other, and grow grounded in faith and driven by purpose. Come see it for yourself. Schedule a personal tour at rosaryprep.org. That's rosaryprep.org.
Let me ask you something. Does your garage floor look bad? Covered in salt, cracked, or stained from the winter's brutal blast? Well, I've got a fix for you so you can start enjoying your garage this spring. Contact my good friends at Level 10 Coatings. Level 10 brought my garage floor from dirty and gross to showroom, shiny new in just one day. Level 10 Coatings can do the same for you. A quick and easy fix, permanent durable solution. Guaranteed to never chip or peel. Get it done now so you can enjoy your garage this spring and summer. Schedule your free quote today and mention me, Amy, for $500 off. Visit level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10, coatings.com. Level10coatings.com or call 855-510-2628. Again, that's 855-510-2628. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. If you're a business owner with unfiled tax returns, tax season is not your friend. This is when the IRS turns up the heat. They match 1099s. They review payroll filings. They compare bank deposits. And when returns are missing, they don't send you a warning. They take action. Penalties stack up fast. Liens become public. Bank levies can drain your account. I see it every year. Good business owners who waited too long, not because they're crooks, but because they were overwhelmed. Let me be clear, hiding makes it worse. Action makes it fixable. I help business owners get compliant, file what's missing, and negotiate from a position of strength, not fear. Don't wait for the next certified letter. Don't wait for a levy. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my daily email. I'll tell you exactly what to do next, step by step. Or call me right now at 312-664-6649. Act now before the IRS acts first.
Don't miss Destination Retirement with Robert Kuhn every Sunday from 11 to 12. Robert has a different way of looking at retirement from most financial advisors and is happy to share his ideas with you every week. So don't miss what he has to say on AM 560 The Answer. Destination Retirement with Robert Kuhn, Sunday mornings from 11 to 12.
What's the password?
Is this Vito's Vault, where I can get a 5-star dinner and signature cocktails, see an amazing vaudeville-style musical comedy show with the gangsters and the flappers, all for one low price?
Yeah? What's the password?
I don't know, but I'm here to make a deposit.
Well, why didn't you say so? Come on in.
Vito's Vault, Chicago's new Roaring 20s dinner theater speakeasy. For tickets, go to vitosvault.com.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $283. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be mostly cloudy and breezy with warm temperatures reaching a high of 80 degrees, approaching the record high of 83 set in 2023. Later this afternoon, there is a chance of a thunderstorm in the area. Tonight will remain overcast and warm with a low of 66 degrees and the possibility of a thunderstorm continuing in the area. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Eric Swalwell is why the term schadenfreude was invented. How about Eric Swalwell, the one-time presidential aspirant, the one-time California gubernatorial aspirant? His political career in the span of about 48 hours went up like a Roman candle, and it couldn't happen to a more deserving former prosecutor. Another good example why the job title is not necessarily a credential, even if you're inclined to say, well, that's a laudable profession. Yeah, what did you do with it? And what did you subsequently leverage it to do? There's some of the worst people in politics have come out of prosecutors' offices, both local and federal. Doesn't mean that you don't have great prosecutors that can go on to be great public officials or do other great things. But just because you're a former prosecutor doesn't mean you're a person of high character, as I think Exhibit A, Eric Swalwell, can substantiate. So let's tell you how it ended. I mean, it's not formally over yet, but it's just about over. It's all just about over except for the shouting. Where we left off, Eric Swalwell, I mean, there's so much here. He is under criminal investigation at the local level in New York. He is under federal investigation for immigration fraud. He is suspended his campaign. Those who endorsed him, former prosecutor Adam Schiff and others, have now all rescinded their endorsements and are calling for him to drop out of the California governor's race. Some going so far as to call for him to resign his seat in Congress. Not too many Democrats. They still need his roll call vote for now. But one Republican, Anna Paulina Luna from Florida, had this to say.
I'm tired of this. I'm not going to serve with these sexual deviants. That's not what Congress is all about.
Well, Yeah. I can understand not wanting to serve with sexual deviants. I don't know if I can agree with the statement that this is not what Congress is all about. Anyway, Eric Swalwell, you know who I am.
A lot has been said about me today through anonymous allegations, and I thought it was important that you see and hear from me directly. These allegations of sexual assault are flat false. They are absolutely false. They did not happen. They have never happened, and I will fight them with everything that I have. They also come on the eve of an election where I have been the frontrunner candidate for governor in California. I do not suggest to you in any way that I'm perfect or that I'm a saint. I have certainly made mistakes in judgment in my past, but those mistakes are between me and my wife. And to her, I apologize deeply for putting her in this position. I also apologize to you if in any way you have doubted your support for me. But I think you know who I am. For over 20 years, I have served the public. As a city councilman, as a member of Congress, and as a prosecutor who went to court on behalf of victims, particularly on behalf of sexual assault victims. That's who I am and have always been. This weekend, I'm going to spend time with my family and friends, and I appreciate those who have reached out to me to show support, and I look forward to updating you very soon.
Yeah. He's spending time with his family and friends, allegedly, at this $26 million mansion that Diamond Resorts International billionaire Kloonbeck, that's his pad in L.A., I guess, big supporter, big Dem. He's got his own problems with honeypots. Imagine the guy that fell for Fang Fang would put himself in this position. So a video that was circulating of this guy, before we get to the more serious allegation, but the video circulating, this is, alleged, but it looks authentic. The source is bizarre. This story just gets more and more bizarre as you peel back the layers. It's not quite Byron Gnome bizarre yet, but it's getting there. It's going in that direction. Video of him, what looks like to be in a hotel, but the source of the video, Martin Shkreli, that Pharma Bro dude, somehow he's the source on this from somebody on the inside of all of it, he alleges. Not a lot of denials going on, by the way. It's Swalwell sitting on a bed trying to make out with someone who is alleged to be a prostitute. And then there's another dude on the bed. And then there's a dude in the back of the room, like in the hallway leading into the room by a mirror. What's going on there? I have no idea. Do I want to know? Not really. That's plenty. That's plenty of Swalwell exposure. I don't need that much more. But that's what started to get this ball rolling downhill. And then you had one of those accusers, still remaining anonymous, but she did an interview with CNN. And remember, this is from the party where you're supposed to uncritically believe any woman who makes an accusation, except, of course, when they make it against you. Here's what this former Swalwell staffer had to say happened to her at his hands. And CNN did do, as you'll hear at the end of this, a little bit of due diligence, which is unusual for them, I know. And there is some contextual substantiation for at least some of what she is alleging.
I decided to ask him to meet me for a drink. And I did this because I was so far removed from what had happened in 2019. I felt safe because I was established. I had a partner. I felt more secure that I could have a strictly professional relationship with this person. After that bar closed, we went to another. I went to the bathroom, and I don't remember anything after that.
You don't remember anything?
I remember the next day, I can see flashes of that evening, of him on top of me pushing him off, him grabbing me. It was a lot more aggressive. It was aggressive.
Did you say no?
Yes, I said no. In my flash that I can recall, I was pushing him off of me saying no.
And what did he do?
He didn't stop.
He didn't stop. And you woke up the next morning?
I woke up the next morning naked, alone in his hotel room. I, for a moment, didn't even know I was in his hotel room. That's how intoxicated I was. And I called my mom, the only person I could think that could help me.
And we were able to corroborate that by speaking with friends and family she confided in, reviewing photos and screenshots of contemporaneous text messages. And we also reviewed a message from her medical provider the week after she received the pregnancy and STD tests, calling her a, quote, survivor.
312-642-5600 to give us a call or a text on the alphawealthgroup.com call and text line. Yeah, alphawealthgroup.com call and text line now. And just to be clear, what she is alleging is separate and distinct from this video, is separate and distinct from other allegations that have been lodged against Swalwell by other former staffers. And this was sort of bubbling below the surface for a couple of days before it bubbled to the surface over the weekend. And remember, again, the standard, well, set by one Eric Swalwell back during the Brett Kavanaugh confirmation imbroglio in 2018.
I saw continued demeaning of victims of sexual assault, people who deserve to be heard, who deserve
to be heard
for their allegations to be investigated, and a president who wants to just rush this through. He criticized the Senate for even taking this long, Ari. And so for Brett Kavanaugh's sake, if he is innocent, I hope tomorrow he opens his statement and says, you know what? Bring in all the victims, allow them to be heard, allow them to be questioned. That will clear his name if he's indeed innocent. And if he's not, for the sake of the credibility of the court, I hope that the senators would vote against him.
Yeah. I mean, Eric Swalwell has been one of the most oleaginous and really ham-handed conspiracy theorists in the direction of Trump and all things Republican. I mean, you know, his hypocrisy is boundless because that's a feature of neo-Marxists, even the ones that are pretending to be what they need to pretend to be in order to advance their career, which is what this guy is. He's like a J.B. Pritzker on Ozempic, who ironically J.B. Pritzker is on Ozempic. But, you know, even still, he's not going to get down to Swalwell's weight class. This is also, you had to have, as I mentioned at the outset, some hard, full reverses from the likes of former prosecutor Adam Schiff, who offered this just all the way back in February, when he endorsed Swalwell.
As I said, if you've just joined or you're came in late, Senator Adam Schiff, a friend, a partner, endorsing our campaign.
Well, first of all, let me say how proud I am to support you, Eric. And, you know, before you got in the race, it was fully my intention to probably stay out of the race. A lot of friends are running. A lot of very, capable people are in this field who, I have great respect for. But there are a couple things that compelled me. One is that when you got in the race, here was somebody that I'd worked with for over a decade, who I had seen stand up to Donald Trump and stand up to all his MAGA allies, no matter what they threw at you, Eric. And they're attacking you again now because they fear that you'll be successful in this race, and they don't want a powerful person in the governor's office once again to stand up to this president.
We'll get through this. We're better than he is. And you often like to quote our colleague Elijah Cummings.
Yeah. And the plaudits coming in from all corners. Ruben Gallego, Hakeem Jeffries, all now in full reverse. Now, of course, there's a lot of supposition this is some sort of orchestrated hit job. And boy, look at the Dems when they go after one of their own. They're even more vicious and merciless than they are when they go after Republicans. Because a lot of this was known, a lot of allegations swirled around Fang's expo there, Swalwell, for a while. So why now? You know, they're clearing the way for Katie Porter. I mean, some of the polling doesn't even have her next up. Tom Steyer, that billionaire doofus who ran for president on the platform of eliminating fossil fuels, is in the mix there. You know, it's a lot of them bunched up in single digits or low double digits, including the two Republicans, starting with Steve Hilton. And in that jungle primary, the Dems, you know, as you've, I'm sure, read over the last several weeks, are pressing the panic button because they've put themselves in a position where they could actually have two Republicans be the top two finishers and eliminate the prospect of a Democrat candidate to choose in the runoff. So they're trying to clear out the dead wood like Swalwell in order to make sure that at least one Democrat makes the runoff so you can continue the neo-Marxist revolution uninhibited, uninterrupted in California. Maybe there's something to that, and he was the easiest one to take out because there's just so much there as it all came cascading down on him this weekend. Kevin McCarthy, former House Speaker, on This Week yesterday, pouring over this with Jonathan Karl, as was Donna Brazile. It was interesting to see Donna Brazile pile on to the point of this being an inside job to remove Swalwell.
I tried to get rid of Swalwell 8 years ago. When I got the briefing, when I became leader with the FBI, Nancy Pelosi was in the room. I turned to her and said, how can you keep her on Intel? Intel is a select committee that only the leaders put on, that you know all the secrets that the members do not.
But
I made a motion.
Was this about sexual misconduct allegations, or?
It was a combination with the Chinese spy and led to all that. Every member in Congress knows not to let any young staffer get around Swalwell or Matt Gaetz. It's not a secret there. There's a reason why you didn't want those two people around. He was the leading candidate for governor. He probably could have won the primary and gotten there, but this all came forward. And these young women deserve justice.
Mm-hmm. And Donna Brazile piling on?
His campaign is in a free fall right now with top staffers leaving. And let me just say this. As someone who knows at least one of the victims that have come forward, I'm very concerned.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, we know that the neo-Marxist revolutionaries see people as the means to political ends. They use people as mascots. They use people as cannon fodder. They employ useful idiots in all sorts of realms to advance their flag. So this could very well be an instance of it. Yeah, you know, Eric Swalwell, he was fun to, you know, throw up there to recite the lines on your MSNBCs and your CNNs. And, you know, if he wants to tilt at windmills, running for president, trying to be somebody, that's fine. That's fine. And if he wants to run for governor of California, that's fine too, until somebody's got to fall on a sword. And if nobody wants to do it voluntarily, then we'll help you do it. And again, because there was so much of this that was, you know, so well known inside these circles, one has to, I think, be skeptical that the timing of all of these individuals coming forward is not coincidental. And that doesn't even include this sort of open letter from both the staff in his congressional office and the staff on his campaign. Those individuals running as fast as they can away from him, and how outraged and shocked and saddened they are. Like some of them didn't have this same drop on Swalwell that all of these politicos had. Doubtful. As I said, Eric Swalwell, why the word schadenfreude was invented. All right, coming up at 5:38, we'll turn our attention to the failure to produce a deal in Pakistan over the weekend. The responses for President Trump to blockade the blockaders. 5:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 62 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Police are looking for a woman suspected of shooting 3 men. According to reports, the men were standing outside a bar on West Irving Park Road early Sunday morning when a woman dressed all in black fired at them from a distance before she ran away. One of the 3 men was shot multiple times. He's listed in critical condition, while the other 2 were listed in fair condition. Southbound State Street will be closed between Wacker Drive and Randolph Street starting at 9 a.m. this morning. Officials with the Chicago Department of Transportation say that closure is necessary for emergency repairs that are needed to be done on the sewer lines. The street is expected to be closed for about 6 weeks. Northbound traffic along State Street will not be affected, but southbound traffic, including CTA buses, will be detoured at Wacker Drive, Clark Street, and Washington Street. This news report is a service of Straight Talk Wireless. Every now and then you find a deal that actually feels like a win. With Straight Talk Wireless, you get more and pay less now, and that's a good deal. No contracts, no credit checks, no surprises, all on Verizon's 5G network. Find it in the same place you've always found straightforward prices, exclusively at Walmart and straighttalk.com.
Looking for a powerful way to support your immune system? Now's your chance to win a free bottle of Virgo, the immune enhancement cocktail made with 23 science-backed ingredients, including vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and natural nutraceuticals designed to support your body's natural defenses. 10 winners will each receive a free bottle. Hey, don't miss your shot to boost your wellness routine. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/immune. That's 560theanswer.com/IMMUNE.
The law group you know and trust, Nauman & Associates, is expanding into commercial litigation. When disputes can't be resolved, get the strategic guidance from a litigation lawyer who will fight for your rights. Attorney Richard Cannon brings both strong courtroom and dispute settlement skills. We believe most cases can be resolved without costly courtroom battles, but we prepare as if a trial is possible. When your company needs to stand its ground, contact Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village. For a consultation, visit nalawgroup.com.
This is Sean Thompson. One of the things I remember about spring is listening to my grandfather walk around and say, opening day, it's just around the corner. He used to think those were the 2 sweetest words you could say during springtime because he was a big baseball fan. And for most people, that's the case. It's one of the greatest American traditions each spring. But there's another great American tradition that isn't far off, and that's called Tax Day. Well, opening day and Tax Day show up around the same time each year. We don't look at them in the same way. Well, you're optimistic about your favorite team. When's the last time you felt optimistic about stroking a big check to Uncle Sam? It doesn't have to be that way, and all you have to do is call Tom Fortino, the people at Alpha Wealth Group, who believe that baseball is a seasonal game, but tax planning goes on year-round. So if you don't want to write a big check in your retirement, and you don't want to have your Social Security or Medicare premiums affected by it, call Tom Fortino and the people at Alpha Wealth Group for their complimentary retirement roadmap. Call them at 630-864-6711. That number again is 630-864-6711 or online at alphawealthgroup.com.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results. Done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com. And schedule your free in-home consultation today.
File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction or your money back. File in the Credit Karma app.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be mostly cloudy, breezy, and warm with a high temperature reaching 80 degrees, approaching the record high of 83 set in 2023. Expect a thunderstorm in the area later this afternoon. Tonight will be overcast, breezy, and warm with a low temperature of 66 degrees, along with a chance of a thunderstorm in the area. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Since we were talking about a man without a chest, the form of Eric Swalwell, just a squirming bag of appetites. I did mention Byron Gnome, and I've mentioned it in passing since this story broke the other week, but I can no longer ignore it. I just can't. And boy, he's a man with a chest. Not in the C.S. Lewis sense, but in the prosthetic sense. The Daily Mail was able to get a much-coveted interview with dominatrix Shai Sotomayor, no relation to Sonia, as far as I know. And Shai Sotomayor claims that Byron Gnome wanted to leave his wife and become Shai Sotomayor, who's a sex worker, wanted to become Shai Sotomayor's, quote, trans bimbo slut, unquote. And his nom de plume was going to be Crystal. Actually, there's a telephone exchange that Miss Sotomayor, if she is a miss, provided the Daily Mail. This is dominatrix Shai Sotomayor and aspiring trans bimbo slut and husband, for now, of Kristi Gnome.
I believe you told me you loved me, didn't you?
I do love you.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
So much better than your wife, aren't I?
You're so much better. Would you ever marry me?
Oh, you want to be married to your god.
I mean, who would be?
I mean, exactly. So how many drinks are we on?
A lot.
A lot.
Shut up. You're so amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah, you make me drink.
Oh, I don't make you do anything.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, do I?
You're the boss.
I am the boss.
So, you tell me what to do and I'll do it.
That's a dangerous saying.
It's okay.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Did you think that I wouldn't find out who you are?
I knew you knew.
Do you care that I know?
It doesn't matter.
Right, it doesn't.
Is it?
No.
I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, that's very fair.
I don't love the fact that you know who I am, but it is what it is.
I could listen to them flirt all day, couldn't you? I can see us leaving our spouses for each other, Gnome also apparently said to Sotomayor, the dominatrix. He told Sotomayor he wanted a boob job, face surgery, and hormone therapy. I will be your trans girl, he wrote in one text. Long hair, big lips, boobs, pierced boobs. There's something to think about over breakfast. Byron Gnome with pierced boobs. And when Sotomayor once asked Gnome if he wanted to be a woman for her, he said, I think I do. Hair removal, huge fake boobs, ass implants, hormones. I want to be Crystal so bad, he said in one text. I want to be a woman so bad. I mean, by the way, Shai Sotomayor is, I mean, not to get into the particulars, but she's a rather Zoftig, tatted up dominatrix. But hey, I think that's the least of Byron Gnome's problems. Sotomayor, the sex worker, as they're terming it, was shocked that Byron Gnome picked a new name so similar to that of his wife, Christy, I guess. Yeah. Good comments. So, I mean, just a point of order on this, kind of an obvious one. But Kristi Noem was always a curious pick for me for Homeland Security Secretary, and I said it when she was selected. I think she was over her skis, generally speaking. But even if she weren't, Department of Homeland Security, how do you not run the traps on what is going on in the Gnome family? And by the way, speaking as we heard Kevin McCarthy and Donna Brazil, especially McCarthy, and others talk about what was known in political circles about Swalwell, or suspected, not exactly a lot of people expressing shock at some of these allegations. The Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski deal, this deal, this just sprung up in the last 16 months. Byron Gnome's bizarre interests and proclivities. I can't imagine. Department of Homeland Security. It's not like she was buried at Interior or something like that, with all due respect to Doug Burgum. I mean, this is the sort of thing, the Soviets call kompromat. You're compromised and you're in a position like Secretary of Department of Homeland Security, and there's this swirl going around you, pretty reckless. You want to talk about not having confidence in the federal government, even this administration's ability to properly vet people to come into this country? They don't do a particularly good job of even vetting cabinet secretaries of the most sensitive federal agencies. Does not inspire confidence, in addition to being just beyond, it's like 3 standard deviations away from bizarre. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com. Call in and text line. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Thanks a lot for taking my call. Hey, I wanted to make a comment with regarding to the Democrats just in general. But, you got examples like Swalwell is just the latest really good example of just how unbelievably they're able to lie and deceive and just make up all story. Just everything about them. They're so demonic and so deceptive and everything. And Swalwell's example, you had these people like Schiff was another one, and Obama, and Clinton, and Durbin, and all these dumb rats, are so deceitful and so rotten and everything, and lie with such ease.
Yes, thanks for the call, Craig. Well, again, Hakeem Jeffries hadn't heard what so many other people apparently had heard about Eric Swalwell. Well, this was Hakeem Jeffries selecting Swalwell to be the ranking member on the House Select Committee for J6, offering these superlatives in Swalwell's direction.
Throughout his time in Congress, Eric Swalwell, who's both a friend and a classmate, has been a champion for the rule of law, a champion of accountability, a champion of free and fair elections, and a champion of the American way of life. Eric Swalwell is the son of a police officer, comes from a law enforcement family, has a distinguished track record as a prosecutor. Eric Swalwell knows what it means to actually advocate for law and order. And Eric Swalwell.
Well. Yeah, thank you, Brian. Indeed. Yeah, he knows all sorts of things. And, of course, some of what Hakeem Jeffries said there is why I'm talking about Eric Swalwell, targeted by MAGA extremists. I mean, there's so much classic material from Swalwell. But this was his explanation why they're after him. Because he's such a threat. He poses such a threat. And it's both his professional competence as well as his personal and familial background, you see. This was Swalwell with Charlemagne on that show out of New York.
My wife tells me all the time, you know what? The second they're not going after you, you're not effective. Mm-hmm. And so I wear it as a badge of honor that these guys would want to lie about me all the time, because I think it means that I'm landing punches politically on them that sting. And frankly, I think a lot of Republicans look at me as like, oh, that's a straight, white, Christian male, son of a cop. Like everyone else like him looks like me. So when he comes at me, it's more betrayal to them.
Yes.
Like I've heard that from them on their side. That's
yeah. Well,
that's
wow.
so
Charlemagne the God is, positively credulous at this news. Yeah, that's it. Eric Swalwell is one of us. He's a red-blooded, heterosexual, white male, son of a police officer, law and order all the way. How could he be doing these things? Yeah, he's one of us. Right. Making out with a prostitute with two dudes in the room with him. One of us. I mean, and just a reminder, because they're treated this way, even if you don't, even if some of you actually don't do it and wouldn't do it in person, the vast majority of Americans treat them this way. They are not our betters. How much more evidence do you need? Do not treat them as such. They are owed no deference. Just because they choose to put honorable in front of their name doesn't make them so. And again, the lasting image I'd like you to take away from today's show, well, there's two. One is the description I offered of Eric Swalwell trying to lick the face of a prostitute with two dudes watching. And the other is Byron Gnome with pierced fake boobs. Okay? Just think of that next time you want to be deferential to a politician. Think about either one or both of those images. Bill, LaSalle County.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Hey, are you sure that Eric Swalwell's not related to Richard Blumenthal? Because they both seem to lie about all the time about everything they've done.
Thanks for the call, Bill. George, Naperville.
Yes, Stan, it's not white supremacists that are the greatest threat to our country. It's white super freaks.
Yes. Thank you, Rick James from Naperville. We appreciate that. One more Swalwell. I mean, because Swalwell made his name shifted, being one of the most outspoken, and recklessly so, is there any other way, accusers of Trump. That Trump was the Manchurian candidate. That Trump was an active agent of Putin in the White House. And he wouldn't relent because why would you? There's no political cost to pay. In fact, there's political benefits to accrue. He was the leading candidate for governor of California until they decided that he needed to be shivved and buried. Swalwell on firing line with Margaret Hoover. Even somebody as untalented as Margaret Hoover pressed the right buttons here.
At what point do you draw the line and not accuse the President of the United States without any evidence of being an agent of Russia?
Yeah, he's betrayed our country, and I don't say that lightly. I worked as a prosecutor for 7 years, and
Betraying the country, by the way, we want evidence before you say that, but you said an agent of Russia.
Yeah, he works on their behalf.
I'm not hearing the evidence that he's an agent of Russia.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. It's almost hiding in plain sight.
Can't see it? It's right in front of you. Uh-huh. Why the word schadenfreude was invented. Eric Swalwell. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. AM 560, The Answer.
By the way, even if Swalwell goes away, the allegations may follow. A husband of an influencer is threatening a lawsuit against Swalwell. He claims he once sent his wife nudes and showed up at her home. This is in the neighborhood where they both live, I guess. And if Swalwell says anything critical of his wife, who Swalwell allegedly pursued, then he'll file a suit against Swalwell. The hits are going to keep coming for Swalwell, it seems, and we'll be there to document them. It's now 6 o'clock on AM 560 WIND show.
3 hours to go. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Before President Trump's new blockade on Iran in the Strait of Hormuz, after weekend talks with Iran fizzled, he told reporters last night flying back to Washington it won't affect the U.S.
We have more oil because of drill, baby, drill. We have more oil than Russia and Saudi Arabia put together.
U.S. Central Command giving some new details on the blockade, saying the blockade will be enforced impartially against vessels of all nations entering or departing Iranian ports and coastal areas.
That's Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv.
Now, the Strait of Hormuz remains a critical waterway, and the Iranian military today is warning that no Gulf ports will be safe if their own ports are threatened.
Oil prices back on the rise today, almost 8%, putting WTI back at $104 a barrel. The president also last night lashed out at Pope Leo, saying he's not a fan.
He's a very liberal person, and he's a man that doesn't believe in stopping crime.
And the Pope reacted this morning, talking to reporters before landing in Algeria to start an 11-day trip to Africa.
I will continue to speak out loud against war, looking to promote peace.
After a Truth Social post in which President Trump said Leo was catering to the radical left, calling the pontiff weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy. The president wrote he doesn't want a pope who thinks it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon. The Pope hasn't ever said that, but he has criticised leaders who wage war, also describing as truly unacceptable the president's warning that an entire civilization could die.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Democrats dropping out of the race for governor in California. Congressman Eric Swalwell.
After several women accused him of sexual misconduct and one woman alleged he raped her, Congressman Swalwell posted on X, "I will fight the serious false allegations that have been made, but that's my fight, not a campaign."
Fox's Jill Nato. Democrats and Republicans have called on Swalwell to leave Congress. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 62 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A Chicago man has been charged with murdering his elderly mother and then hiding her body in a basement room. Fox 32 Chicago's Joni Lum has more.
88-year-old Danius Graves was described as a sweet woman by neighbors. She was reported missing, last seen March 27th. The police alert indicated she had heart disease, high blood pressure, and circulation issues, but neighbors say she was sharp and could drive. Police arrested 66-year-old Kevin Works. Works is charged with first-degree murder and concealing a death. The woman's body was inside the house, reportedly wrapped in a rug.
An autopsy found Graves suffered 17 blunt force injuries, including a large open wound to the top of her head that exposed her skull. Police are looking for a woman suspected of shooting 3 men on Sunday. According to reports, the men were standing outside a bar on West Irving Park Road early Sunday morning when a woman dressed all in black fired at them from a distance before she ran away. One of the 3 men was shot multiple times. He was listed in critical condition while the other 2 were listed in fair condition. It's unknown what led up to that shooting. And in the wake of new legal proceedings in a high-profile Illinois corruption case, attempts to reform ethics requirements for state officials have weakened but not stopped. Sean Reed reports.
Despite lots of talk from leaders in Springfield, they have not met the moment, criticizing 2021 ethics changes put forward by top state Democrats.
There needs to be a real change in the way leadership approaches types of ethics issues if we're going to come close to the ethics standards in many other states.
House Republicans have put forward multiple bills aiming to provide ethics reform last year, but none have progressed. The same cannot be said for the state Senate, where Senator Jill Tracy has sponsored a number of similar bills that are still in play this year.
This report is a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency providing high-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Scott Jennings explains the huge difference between us and them.
F-15E fighter jet was shot down. Now, there were 2 pilots in the plane. Both were rescued alive. God bless the U.S. military. They showed the world the difference between us and them. We leave no one behind, while Iran spent the weekend hanging protesters in the streets.
The Scott Jennings Show, weekdays at noon, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer. For 25 years, Applied Mechanical Sales has kept Chicago's commercial buildings warm and running smoothly. From schools and churches to high-rises and hotels, they provide the boilers, water heaters, and exhaust systems that contractors and engineers count on. Whether it's a replacement project or a new construction, Applied Mechanical helps you select the right equipment, standard or high efficiency, for your specific application. What sets them apart? They match the right Camas equipment to your building's exact needs, so it performs flawlessly through Chicago winters for the next 15 to 20 years. And they don't disappear after installation. Applied Mechanical ensures your systems run at peak efficiency year after year. Are you a degreed mechanical engineer looking to lead a growing sales team? They'd love to talk to you. Schedule a site visit and boiler assessment at appliedmechanicalsales.com. That's appliedmechanicalsales.com.
Now, this 25th anniversary of 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation remains committed to honoring the heroes shaped by that day. Heroes like NYPD Detective Victor Vargas, a U.S. Air Force veteran who died from pancreatic cancer after serving in the World Trade Center recovery efforts. Tunnel to Towers honored Detective Vargas by paying off the family's mortgage. You can donate $11 a month, and you can amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Life is full of challenges, but you don't have to face them alone. At intouch.org, you'll find powerful sermons from Dr. Charles Stanley, daily devotionals, and resources designed to strengthen your faith and bring hope into everyday life. Whether you're searching for encouragement, biblical wisdom, or practical guidance, intouch.org is here to help you grow closer to God. Discover truth that speaks to your heart. Visit intouch.org today. That's intouch.org. Thanks.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Scott Bartmus, co-founder of ESCO, a security and fire alarm services business, and a customer of Signature Bank. We work hard to give our customers peace of mind, so it's nice to know that while we have our customers' backs, partners like Signature Bank have ours. When COVID hit, there was a lot of uncertainty for many businesses, particularly surrounding the PPP loan program. with parameters and deadlines changing constantly. The executives from Signature Bank worked weekends alongside their staff, filling out and submitting applications to ensure they took care of us. That type of dedication is hard to find, but we found it with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. 14 in, 13 out on the Edens from Lake Cook to Montrose. The Kennedy is 18 minutes inbound from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange. We're slow on the outbound side, 28 minutes, but stop and go approaching Manheim Road. And then if you're traveling on the Ike, it's about 14 minutes in both directions from Wolf to the Old Post Office. 27 in, 23 out on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. You've got 14 in on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange. Looking great on the outbound side of 14 minutes. You got a crash on the west side, and that is on Cermak Road at Kenzie Avenue. This report is the service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device when you download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly cloudy, breezy, and warm with a high temperature reaching 80 degrees, approaching the record high of 83 set in 2023. Expect a thunderstorm in the area later this afternoon. Tonight will be overcast, breezy, and warm with a low temperature of 66 degrees, along with a chance of a thunderstorm in the area. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Just postscript on our discussion of the loathsome Eric Swalwell from last hour. I mentioned it in passing, but just the details here. So he's got Manhattan DA looking at him for a rape allegation. He's got the Department of Homeland Security looking at him for immigration fraud, conspiracy to commit immigration fraud. And then the FEC looking at him for campaign expenses campaign cash used to pay this person that he hired as his nanny, who is a Brazilian national without proper work authorization. That's the understanding, as reported. It's a lot going on there. The Manhattan DA, DHS, FEC. And by the way, I think he has 3 kids. This is his second wife. This guy doesn't have any money. And he's got a nanny? Well, there you go. As some suggested over the weekend, one of the reasons he wanted to suspend his gubernatorial campaign for now and keep it going is because he's raising money to pay himself and help finance his household expenses through the campaign, which Jesse Jackson Jr. will tell you is dangerous business. The woman's name, Amanda Barbosa, live-in nanny, allegedly without proper work authorization. So came here on an au pair visa in January 2021. After that, her visa status changes. After her visa status changed, she continued working for the family without legal authorization to do so. DHS statement on the topic: federal law prohibits employers from knowingly hiring aliens not authorized to work in the United States. No employer, including a member of Congress, is above the law. Sure, that's something Letitia James might say. Swalwell allegedly paid her almost $47,000 in campaign funds in 2022 alone under the table while she lacked work authorization. After those direct payments stopped, another $52,000 plus in child care expenses was reportedly written off to himself. He wrote it off to himself. Yeah. So you've got Fang Fang, you got the nudes, you got the video with the prostitutes, you got an illegal nanny paid with campaign cash, you got a rape allegation. And he's hiding out at the king of timeshares, $26 million mansion in L.A. while he's running for governor. Not a Monty Python skit, but it could be. But just talking about, I mean, part of this is on the vetting piece of it. Vetting, we were talking about, including with respect to Byron Gnome and the Christine Gnome family before she gets elevated to Department of Homeland Security. And to turn it to a more serious matter, not that some of the allegations against Swalwell aren't serious. They are, very. But Tom Homan sat down with Dr. Phil, his new buddy, Dr. Phil, who all of a sudden has taken an interest in border security. And he offered some comments that are not new, but he hasn't really addressed this in a while. They're jarring. They are jarring. And it speaks to all this magical thinking about being able to vet people who come to this country or attempt to come to this country from all over the world. He reminds us of what he watched for 4 years under Biden, what Eric Swalwell and his party did for 4 years with Joe Biden, and the implications that this current administration is attempting to remedy.
With the war now in Iran, do you believe, based on what you know, that there are sleeper cells in this country that have come across the border that can be activated, could be activated?
Yes.
Just unequivocally, yes. You think they are here?
Yes. The intelligence community believes so. Tulsi Gabbard talked about it just a couple weeks ago. Luckily, you know, FBI and the intelligence community and they know where some are and they're actively pursuing some, but we don't know where everybody is. I mean, 2 million known gotaways. We know they crossed. We got a video, drone, sensor traffic, and they entered across the border and they weren't even talked to. They got away. And I've said it many times, why did 2 million people, 2.1 million people, why did they pay more to get away? You pay the cartels one amount to just get to the border. You see a green uniform, you turn yourself in. You get released within a day. You get flown to the city of your choice. You get a free hotel room, 3 squares a day, free medical care for this amount of money. But if you want to get away, you got to pay a lot more money. If you want to get to New York without being processed and vetted and fingerprinted, why did 2.1 million people pay more not to take advantage of that free giveaway? Let's just get the hell out of everybody. It scares the hell out of me.
Why pay more to avoid the dole? All these sanctuary city state handouts, right? That's a good question. Here's a good answer, a disturbing one.
Well, I think they're carrying fentanyl, or they're a gang member, they're trafficking in women and children, sex trafficking or forced labor trafficking, or they come from a terrorist-sponsored country. Remember, we went under Trump 45, we had a total of, I think it was 14 people on the terrorist watch list were apprehended on the southern border. Under Joe Biden, there's over 400 that we caught.
312-642-5600. That's the alphawealthgroup.com call and text line if you want to chime in on this topic, and then, home in on the folly of pretending that real vetting was going on under the Biden administration, which clearly was not. Or, as we have discussed before, that it's even possible from some of these countries, like they all have databases like we have in this country, and that there's information sharing that's reliable.
We arrested a lot of criminal aliens that were released by the Biden administration. They said pass vetting, and we find out they got a murder charge in Ecuador. They say they vet people. When they vet them against NCIC, our systems. They don't have access to the criminal databases of countries all around the world. Many countries around the world don't have a system like NCIC or III. So when they say they were vetted, there's no way you can properly vet them. Do you think the thousands that came from China and Russia and North Korea and all these countries that are not friendly with us, do you think they're sharing any national security information with us in the vetting program? Of course they're not. I was screaming about this for 4 years, that we're going to pay the price for this for a long time. And thank God President Trump's in the Oval Office today, because we're addressing this quickly. We're all over it. FBI and HSI and Tulsi Gabbard's shop, everybody, we're really concentrating on identifying the worst of the worst and national security threats and addressing them as soon as we can.
And the other side, the side that celebrated 4 years of open borders and is currently celebrating abolishing ICE. I mean, that's something they would like to celebrate. That's something they're chanting about, something they desire. Abolish ICE, reopen the borders, no one is illegal. 2.1 million people paid to avoid being taken into custody and availed of all of the government largesse in this country because they have more nefarious matters to tend to in this country. 2.1 million. And now some of that has been activated, or certainly there's an impetus for activity given the conflict in the Middle East. And we've already seen some manifestations of it in places like, that synagogue in West Bloomfield, Michigan, for example. And the other side, what are they doing? They're up in Minneapolis. They're ground zero. And, they're protesting with dildos. Yeah, you heard me right. Got a big rally this weekend making their point, their important policy points with dildos. Here's what looks like sort of an older, distended Tim Curry from Rocky Horror Picture Show explaining to a local reporter.
These dildos here, which is now the microphone, are basically a gift message from Minneapolis. In Minneapolis, this began as kind of a message of like ICE and ICE out of Minnesota, which has been the message they've been sending since it started. But these have become props of that message. So the entire symbolic thing here is that while the same protest is going on in mass around the detention centers, the places that are actually holding people that they've kidnapped, we're sending the message on behalf of them from this building, which is the ICE offices, to the White House, to the head, all pun intended, that gave them their so-called power. So yeah, ICE.
And how many of the dildos are coming?
We have access to 400. Always ready. There's at least 40 of them coming.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, story after story, day after day, like the one out of Fort Myers last week. A Haitian illegal alien caught and released by Biden in 2022 is the one that committed a crime so brutal that President Trump couldn't ignore it. He posted about it. This was a gas station clerk, convenience store clerk, comes out of the store, and this Haitian illegal alien walks up to her with a hammer, full swing to the head. She goes down, and he beats her to death with a hammer, striking her 8 to 10 times more and leaving her on the sidewalk in front of the store. The last 2 weeks, just give you your 2-week update. The last 2 weeks, illegal alien crime roundup. This immigrant crimes X account I've mentioned before. Tulsa County, Oklahoma, man on detained or arrested for the murder of his wife. Durham County, North Carolina, man on detained or arrested for fatal shooting. Lee County, Florida. This is the illegal alien arrested for fatal hammer attack. Orange County, Florida, arrested for murder of his wife. New York City, illegal alien arrested for attempted murder after a knife attack. Dallas County, Texas, man on detained arrested for random stabbing death. Sevier County, Tennessee. Fairfax County, Virginia. Fond du Lac County, Wisconsin. Santa Clara County, California. Benton County, Arkansas. Drake County, Ohio. Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. Morris County, New Jersey. Pitt County, North Carolina. Crosby County, Texas. Delaware County, Pennsylvania. Salt Lake County, Utah. Oakland County, Michigan. Here locally, one of Pritzker's peeps. You come for his people. You go through his buffet line. Illegal migrant. 10 years for forcing Venezuelan women to work as prostitutes. His people. The old, exactly what Tom Homan is talking about. Sentenced to 10 years in prison, trafficking operation that prosecutors say forced migrant women into prostitution across Chicago and its suburbs. Came to light more than 2 years ago when Chicago police rescued 2 Venezuelan women after one of their captors brought them to a West Side hospital for medical treatment. The women told police they arrived in the U.S. in October the previous year, that with the help of a trafficker. They were then forced into prostitution to repay an alleged debt. And a couple of them were able to escape and so on and so forth. And then this trafficking ring unraveled thanks to their heroism and the help of Chicago police and prosecutors. Pritzker's peeps. Mark in Oklahoma, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, and thanks for taking my call. Hey, I don't know if you saw on 60 Minutes, they had a little bit with 3 of those Catholic bishops, Supage and McElroy and
Cardinals, yeah.
Tobin, Cardinals, yeah. And Dan, they're trying to give, they're talking about the Pope and all that. You know who the Pope met with the other day? I don't know if you know that. David Axelrod. And what a Democratic hack. But he won't meet with Trump. But he'll meet with some guy that's, for abortion and gay marriage and all that stuff. I'm a Catholic and I love my faith, and I'm not going to let sounds like this stop me from receiving the sacraments and that. But it's to me it's pretty disturbing when David Axelrod, the Obama senior administrator, what do you think?
I think the Arch probably hired him as their in-house political consultant. Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah. Thanks for the call, Mark. One of those on the update of violent crime in the last 2 weeks, the stories that one site was able to aggregate. 18-year-old Guatemalan man illegally in the United States was among a group that waited to ambush a 15-year-old kid in Missouri. They tricked him into thinking he was meeting a girl. This kid was apparently was going to testify against one of the goons in this group, set to testify at a trial for a 2025 murder that was connected to one of the suspects because he was close friends with the victim. So they blamed this kid, this 15-year-old, for her death. when he realized it was a trap when he showed up for this quote-unquote date and the group blocked the road. He fled on foot. The Guatemalan illegal chased him wearing a black ski mask, armed with a Glock-style handgun, according to a witness. And according to a witness, they heard the 15-year-old's final plea, "I just don't want to die." And that's when the 18-year-old Guatemalan illegal shot and killed him. Mm-hmm. Mike Hammond.
Hey, Dan, thanks for taking my call. You mentioned that Swalwell was paying the illegal immigrant under the table. Why isn't the IRS after him as well? And then another comment real quick.
Possibly.
States like Illinois, California, they're trying to legalize all this trafficking and prostitution with these young girls. I think, didn't California lower their consent rate to 16 or something recently? It's insane. They want to decriminalize this stuff, so you can't deport these people for any of this now because of that. So,
thanks for the call, Mike. Out of North Carolina, this story.
An Iredell County man is in custody this morning, accused of child sex charges that are so disturbing, he's being held on a $1 million bond. Court documents show investigators arrested this man, Isidro Serena. He's charged in connection to a crime that happened back in 2023. He's now accused of statutory rape and indecent liberty.
And, you know, what can you do with the crowd that's having fun with dildos that has so little regard for their fellow citizens, so little regard for the rule of law, so little regard for living in a free society, so little regard for anything other than their own navel-gazing nihilism? I don't know. All you can do, I guess, is tell the stories and hope they get shared, and hope some people can find the decency to be ashamed of what's happening to people who are otherwise innocent, including all of those kids being victimized that everybody purports to be so concerned about, so protective of. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She can get a deal. Book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
I've been burned before. I was just repeating the same patterns. It turns out I had a type.
Workplaces everywhere are looking for love. And by love, we mean the easy way to order food at work. Easy Cater.
I thought ordering from great restaurants at work had to be complicated, but then I met Easy Cater. So many options, so flexible, and when I ordered for 50 gluten-free vegans without going over budget, I knew I'd found the platform I wanted to do life and lunch with.
Fall in love with Easy Cater. Start an order at easycater.com.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, at 6:36, we'll update the situation in and around Iran in advance of our conversation at the top of the 7 o'clock hour with Stephen Bucci. So Trump's next move on the chessboard is to blockade the blockaders. Get your reaction. 6:36. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 65 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A 10-year-old girl is dead and an 18-year-old man is in critical condition following a house fire. Officials say that fire broke out early this morning in the Washington Heights neighborhood. The 10-year-old was found inside the burning home. She was rushed to the hospital where she later died from her injuries. The cause of that fire is under investigation. Authorities are investigating the death of an infant on Chicago's South Side. Police say officers responded yesterday to the 6500 block of South Low Avenue where a 2-month-old baby was inside a home and her 18-year-old mother noticed that she wasn't breathing. The baby was transported to Comer Children's Hospital where she was pronounced dead. The child had no visible signs of injury or trauma. And one person is dead after being hit by a vehicle on Chicago's near West Side. Police say a 17-year-old girl told officers that she was driving an SUV last night when she hit a woman who was crossing the street against the signal near Ogden and Ashland. The victim died at the hospital. No citations are pending. This report is a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets, exclusive contest opportunities, and special members-only content. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Larry Elder thinks Newsom's resume doesn't look good.
And now there's this long article in the City Journal called Gavin Newsom's Empire of Fraud, and about the amount of fraud that's taken place during his watch. Estimated to be at least $180 billion, B as in bodacious. What was the Minnesota fraud? $9 billion?
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer. Concerned about your retirement accounts or bank savings? Tired of stock market turbulence? Or simply curious about diversifying with precious metals? Tune into The Gold Show on AM 560. The Answer. Learn how gold and silver can help protect your financial future. Discover insights, strategies, and opportunities designed to help you make smarter decisions and guide you to more confident investing. Don't miss The Gold Show this Saturday morning at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
From the leather aspect, leather has a lot of natural characteristic in it.
Ben and Arvid Huth, brothers and owners of Penny Mustard Furnishings.
And the leather suppliers, they disclaim, right? This leather is going to have bug bites. It's going to have maybe barbed wire marks, what have you.
Branding. There's brands in a lot of the leather that comes from certainly out west.
Right. Where they're still branding cattle.
Where they're still branding cattle will have branding marks in it.
But if you just sit and watch a cow, she scratches on everything. They do.
Walking over to a tree and going like this.
Just like they're 1,500 pounds. They're pushing on that tree or pushing on that fence. You wonder why they got marks on their body.
I love that in leather. When I see a leather sofa that has natural markings in it, I absolutely love that.
See more at pennymustard.com.
That leather lives on for a long, long time. A piece of furniture.
Right.
A long, long time.
Yep.
For months, you've been hearing ads about Virgo immune support. I have to tell you, this stuff is for real. I had an occasion to not be feeling well on a remote broadcast. I took it, and it is the real deal. And the stronger your immune system, the stronger your body defends against diseases, viruses, and everything else. That's why Dr. Huber created Virgo, a liquid immune booster supplement. You take it daily. It's a blend of 23 nutraceuticals working in synergy to maximize effects and boost your immune system. It's the nutraceutical cocktail for an immune system, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. Virgo even protects your heart, your kidneys, your liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Do yourself and your spouse a favor. Order a bottle of Virgo today online at myvirgo.com. That's myvirgo.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virgo, making America healthy again.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Doing really good on the Edens this morning, about 15 minutes both ways between Lake Cook and Montrose. The Kennedy is 20 in from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange. Slow on the outbound side, it's 31 minutes, and very slow as you approach Manheim Road and again at Cumberland Avenue. You've got 15 minutes in both directions on the Ike from Wolf to the Old Post Office. About 30 minutes inbound on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. Outbound is 23, 17 in on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange. Outbound looks great at 10. We are shut down because of a structural fire on 79th Street both ways at Normal Avenue on the south side. This report is a service of Staples. Want a great way to boost your brand? Custom labels at Staples will help packages pop, shipments stand out, and takeout boxes really take off. Shop now through April 18th and save 30% on all custom labels. Staples. That was easy. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly cloudy and breezy with warm temperatures reaching a high of 80 degrees, approaching the record high of 83 set in 2023. Later this afternoon, there is a chance of a thunderstorm in the area. Tonight will remain overcast and warm with a low of 66 degrees and the possibility of a thunderstorm continuing in the area. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So over the weekend, 21 hours of negotiations between the U.S. and Iran bore no fruit. Hardly surprising, particularly when Galabaf, who I guess is sort of the de facto head of state at this point, posted on X before the conversation started that Iranian assets would have to be unfrozen before we could even have a conversation. Okay, well, then we should just call it a day. But they deigned to engage at some level. J.D. Vance's must-haves, what the Iranians had to agree to in order to forge a deal: end all uranium enrichment, dismantle all major nuclear enrichment facilities, retrieve the highly enriched uranium, accept a broader peace, security, and de-escalation framework that includes regional allies, like the Gulf states, end funding for terrorist proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, open the Strait of Hormuz with no tolls for passage, and no dice.
To the discussions with the Iranians, that's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
And Trump was pretty pointed on Maria Bartiromo's show yesterday, really focused on the pursuit of nuclear weapons. The Strait of Hormuz, Trump keeps saying sort of it's going to open naturally, which is a little bit of magical thinking, but he's clearly much more confident about that coming to pass than he is about Iran giving up its nuclear weapons ambitions. And of course, you couldn't believe them even if they agreed to it. You'd have to have specific performance, and that would include turning over the enriched uranium, which they don't want to do.
But other countries do. And I will tell you, while we're on the subject, we're very disappointed with NATO. We're very, very disappointed that they didn't come. Now they want to come and they want to help with the Strait, and it won't take long to clean it out. So we're going to clean out the Strait. and they'll be able to use the strait in not too long a distance. But we had a very intensive negotiation, and toward the end it got very friendly, and we got just about every point we needed, except for the fact that they refused to give up their nuclear ambition. And that's the only point, frankly, to me. That was the most important point by far.
Yeah, except for that. It was very friendly as you can be with a radical Islamist eschatological regime, I suppose. And I don't know how friendly that is, but you know how Trump talks about everybody in those terms until he's compelled to use other terms. He remains optimistic that they'll come back to the table. They have no choice because he holds all the cards, and they'll come back to the table and they'll agree to the things that he says the U.S. must have.
I predict they come back and they give us everything we want. And I told my people, I want everything. I don't want 90%. I don't want 95%. I told them I want everything.
Speaking of all or nothing, which runs through the conversation about the nuclear weapons, the pursuit of nuclear weapons, as well as it does opening the Strait of Hormuz so that maritime traffic can resume. He announced that he is blockading the blockader starting today. No ships are coming through. And Iran responded with some threat that, any ship in the strait, including U.S. ships, will be seen as hostiles and appropriate action will be taken. To which Trump responded, any firing that is in the direction of U.S. ships will be met with vaporization, basically. But this is his riff, Trump's riff on Bartiromo, on the blockade.
It's called all in and all out. There'll be a time when we'll have them all come in and all come out, but it won't be a percentage. It won't be a friend of yours, like a country that's your ally or a country that's your friend. It's all or nothing, and that won't be in too long a distance. No, we're just bringing the ships up. We got a lot of ships, so we're bringing them up. We think that numerous countries are going to be helping us with this also, but we're putting on a complete blockade. We're not going to let Iran make money on selling oil to people that they like and not people that they don't like or whatever it is. It's going to be all or none, and that's the way it is. And it'll be, you saw what we did with Venezuela. It'll be something very similar to that, but at a higher level.
312-642-5600. That's the alphawealthgroup.com call and text line if you want to give us a call or text and sound off on this development, both the failure to achieve an armistice, which, again, only the most naive or overly optimistic, shall we say, could be surprised. And the next move is to blockade the blockaders. You don't allow for the free flow of maritime traffic, then nobody's going in or out, and we'll basically bleed you out. You're not making any money. We're not going to do the sort of soft pedaling, allowing some of the Russian and Iranian flag ships to get through to provide oil to the Chinese communists. That all comes to an end starting today. And then you still have, as retired General Jack Keane said last week, the ace in the hole, Karg Island. What you want to do with that? Destroy it or occupy it. What you want to do with potential targeted strikes. He was asked by Bartiromo if he will essentially resume the bombings of Iran, and he said this.
Is that the plan? Will you further destruct Iran?
Yeah, I will. If they don't give that plan up, yeah. I'm not in huge hurry. What we want to do is we'll open up the strait.
So there's that, too. And by the way, something is happening, and Trump made mention of this over the weekend as well. Some people are changing suppliers. Hundreds of super tankers, the kind that carry like 2 million barrels each, are racing towards the Gulf of America from every direction. Atlantic, Indian Ocean, around Africa. American oil exports are approaching record levels. Gulf Coast, Gulf of America coast, refineries running at 95% capacity. Supertankers that were mid-ocean on their way to the Persian Gulf literally turned around and headed to Texas. Ship tracking data shows them doing U-turns in the Indian Ocean. Meanwhile, China, which was getting 45% of its oil imports through Hormuz and paying basement prices for sanctioned Iranian crude, is now competing with Japan and Europe for the same expensive American barrels. Chinese manufacturers already raising prices 20% on goods headed to the U.S. And Trump reiterated his commitment to that 50% tariff on anybody who provides weapons to the Iranians. And, you know, there was New York Times reporting suggesting that the Chinese communists had been doing exactly that. So if that can be substantiated, then China, which, of course, is an export-based economy, will take even more of a hammering when it comes to bringing their products to market. So Iran's playing this card. They can't play the nuclear card as a shield, so they're going to play the commerce, the trade card as a shield. You can't touch us because we can choke off movement of 20% of the world's oil supply. Transacting for 20% of the world's oil supply. So you can't touch us. Otherwise, we can shut down the strait and impose economic damage. That's our deterrent. Well, not if the United States becomes the world's emergency gas station. (312-642-5600) alphawealthgroup.com. Call in line. Joe in Naperville.
Yeah, I think the obvious play of the Iranians is they want to wait this out for 60 days so Trump has to go to the Congress, get money. Then we're going to see that the Dems are going to be the true friends of Iran and stop it. I believe the Dems are going to hate America so much they're going to help Iran.
Well, thanks for the call, Joe. I mean, Trump is, got the same clock, right? And is aware of it, as is the rest of the administration. So that whole run out the clock thing that everybody talks about Iran doing, I mean, first of all, everybody knows that the sort of dithering and regime survival is the main thing they're interested in. And what we understand is that regime survival was on the table this weekend in Pakistan and obviously was rejected because they're more interested in being martyrs. And that might be exactly how they wind up. I mean, martyrs in their own minds. So they're going to run out the clock. I don't buy it. This is a president and an administration that is interested in resolution here. And per the move of blockading the blockaders, they're not standing up blue ribbon commissions to study the issue. I mean, this has all been war game to death over the last half a century, which is why I also think this idea that, they didn't anticipate, the Trump administration didn't anticipate the complications with the Strait of Hormuz, didn't anticipate the Iranians would use that in lieu of nuclear weapons as a last resort if they were unable to sustain, retaliatory strikes. Yeah, I don't. All of the conventional wisdom coming from the usual conventional thinkers, I'm just not buying. That doesn't mean that the whole situation is not replete with peril. It is. And that doesn't mean that the president doesn't have some difficult choices to make, including choices like blockading the blockaders, which will bring short-term pain, probably starting today based on Dow futures. But this idea that Iran has trump cards Iran somehow has the upper hand. There are no good outcomes left for the Trump administration. All of that naysaying. I mean, there are so many contraindicators to that. Lee and Hammond.
Hi. The thing I don't understand, in all these negotiations, the one thing that could break this wide open, nobody wants to bring up. Trump's got a lot of influence with Netanyahu and the Israelis if the Iranians want the bomb. How about, if we're going to do this, work on an agreement sort of like we had with the Russians with SALT. Have the Israelis give up their bomb, and then maybe the Iranians will give up their bomb. It's like tit for tat. You can't expect one side not to want to have nukes if the other side's got them. How about a little bit of bilateral negotiations here? Trump's got influence with the Israelis. Why not try to use that effort to try to get this thing moving?
So I'm sorry. We should facilitate the Iranians getting nuclear weapons.
No, what I'm saying is, you get the Israelis to give up their nukes, then maybe the Iranians won't want a nuke. Sort of like the same thing between us and the Russians.
No. I mean, with all due respect, Lee, that's preposterous. First of all, the Israelis are never going to give up their nukes. They face Iran and its proxies represent an existential threat to them. And so did some of the other Gulf states, at least until the era of the Abraham Accords under this president. We're not going to concede that the Iranians get nukes. I mean, this is the red line that President Trump has drawn in no uncertain terms and going back, almost 4 decades before he was president. It's ridiculous. Israel and Iran are not the same thing. This is, and by the way, this is more complicated because the Iranians want hegemony in the region. You may have seen them bombing their Gulf state neighbors. You have Al Jazeera now broadcasting, which is Qatar owned. Al Jazeera broadcasting Iranian strikes on civilians in Qatar. What do you think that's intended to do? Bring them in closer alliance with Iran? You think this is just Iran and Israel? That's the focus. That's the myopia of somebody that is just sort of, has a dim view of Israel that is not particularly enlightened, I suppose. Like Israel is the problem, or that Israel is a problem just like Iran is a problem. It's absurd. Talk about a false equivalence. Stop it. Take a look around. Pay attention to how this has played out over just the last 40 days. By the way, we have enough problems with rogue actors with nuclear weapons, like, Little Rocket Man in North Korea, and even to some extent to these erstwhile peacemakers, the Pakistanis. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Mike Lindell and the MyPillow employees want to thank you for your great support this past year. They want to make 2026 the best year ever. So to thank you, they are giving you free shipping on your entire order and wholesale pricing. So they are bringing back the mega sale. For example, the classic MyPillows, regularly $49.98, now only $14.98. Turn any mattress into the best mattress ever with the Made in the USA MyPillow My Mattress Topper and save up to $100. Get a set of MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets for as low as $29.98 or the 6-pack towel set for only $34.98. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. These offers won't last long, so call 800-489-0201 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY. Order now and your entire order ships absolutely free.
If you're purchasing a new home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Kim, single mom and longtime renter, called David after reading several of his more than 700 5-star Google reviews to get pre-qualified to purchase her first home. David answered Kim's question, supplied a realtor with numerous pre-approval letters until she located and purchased the perfect home for her and her 6-year-old daughter, Sophia, to enjoy future life cycle events. Let's review. Kim contacted David to secure a mortgage on her first home, and David helped her secure a low-interest rate mortgage with only 5% down. If you're purchasing a home and would like the same outstanding service and low interest rate as Kim received, then call Team Hochberg now at 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but they can't help you if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit that website you know and love, 56david.com, 56david.com. Atlantic Coast Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 613114. Your family and friends love you, but they hate seeing you in pain all the time, especially heading into vacation season. Allow me to recommend my friends at QC Kinetics. They will take care of your pain and let you go right on with your day. It's that easy. Listen, if you answer yes to more than one of these questions, then you're a great candidate. Do you have consistent joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or back? Does pain rob you from a good night's sleep? Are you missing work or saying no to activities you love? Are you taking painkillers? If this is you, then today could be the day to turn that corner and get real relief. With 5 Chicagoland locations and weekend appointments, QC Kinetics treatments are easy, done in the office. Consultations are free. I've seen the results in person myself, and I personally recommend QC Kinetics. So don't wait. This will be the most meaningful thing you can do for yourself and those that love you. Call now, 312-827-6261. That number, 312-827-6261. Once more, call QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
Advantage Gold, America's #1 precious metals company, is sounding the alarm that a storm is coming and that now is the time to diversify your portfolio before it's too late. That's why we're offering an emergency gold and silver protection kit valued at $49, absolutely free for anyone who calls today at 800-900-8000. This kit includes critical information for investors with a retirement account seeking to own physical gold and silver, but want to do it tax and penalty free. Advantage Gold has helped investors protect and secure their wealth with physical gold and silver since 2014. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000 and we'll rush your emergency gold and silver kit plus a free copy of Ken Rogoff's book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. See how gold and silver can help you protect and secure your wealth with the help of Advantage Gold. Results vary. Consult your tax advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
AM 560, The Answer.
Text from 708. If Iran wants a nuke so bad, Trump should send 50% of what we have over there because he has the nuclear football. Yeah, very funny. I get it. All right, coming up, we'll continue this topic of discussion with Stephen Bucci at 7:07. It's now 7 o'clock at AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Iran is on deadline again. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. But unlike the one President Trump pulled back from threatening a bombardment, this one would impose a blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran refused to reopen fully to oil and other shipping last week.
Other nations are working so that Iran will not be able to sell oil, and that will be very effective.
The president talking to reporters last night returning to Washington after weekend talks with Iran fizzled in Islamabad, where Fox's Lucas Tomlinson reports.
Vice President J.D. Vance offering what their officials are calling his final offer to the Iranians, which includes some red lines. That has been taken back to Tehran, and perhaps President Trump upping the ante, now saying he's going to put a blockade on Iranian ports in the Strait of Hormuz if they don't reach a deal. 10 a.m. Eastern, U.S. Military Central Command says the blockade will be enforced impartially against vessels of all nations entering or departing Iranian ports.
Iran has responded that no port in the region will be safe. As a result, oil prices back up more than 7%. WTI back over $104 a barrel, leading stock futures lower on Wall Street. Now back to the president. He also ranted against Pope Leo on Truth Social and told reporters,
he's a man that doesn't believe in stopping crime. He's a man that doesn't think that we should be toying with a country that wants a nuclear weapon so they can blow up the world.
Pope Leo responded this morning before landing in Africa for an 11-day trip.
Too many people are suffering in the world today. Too many innocent people are being killed, and I think someone has to stand up.
Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell has dropped out of the governor's race in California.
The 45-year-old Democrat has been accused of sexual misconduct by 4 women. Allegations include one former staffer who says Swalwell sexually assaulted her on 2 occasions. Swalwell has repeatedly denied these claims.
That's Fox's Alex Hogan. And Swalwell, there are calls from Democrats and Republicans for him also to resign from Congress. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 65 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A 10-year-old girl is dead and an 18-year-old man is in critical condition following a house fire. Officials say that fire broke out early this morning in the Washington Heights neighborhood. The 10-year-old was found inside the burning home. She was rushed to the hospital where she later died from her injuries. The cause of that fire is under investigation. Cook County Sheriff's officers are searching for a missing teen from unincorporated Justice. Authorities say Catherine Pichardo was last seen on Saturday night leaving her home. The 16-year-old was wearing a black hoodie, black sweatpants, and a gray and green backpack. She's around 5'2", weighs 136 pounds, and anyone with information is asked to call 911 or the Cook County Sheriff's Office. The U.S. Small Business Administration is approving a disaster declaration for tornadoes and the storms that impacted the Kankakee County area last month. That disaster declaration allows homeowners, renters, businesses, and some nonprofits to apply for low-interest loans for damages that were not covered by insurance. The declaration covers Kankakee County as well as Ford, Grundy, Iroquois, Livingston, and Will counties. The SBA staff will be establishing 3 disaster loan outreach centers this week in Kankakee County. And a portion of State Street in downtown Chicago will be closed today. Chicago Department of Transportation announcing that southbound State Street will be closed between Wacker Drive and Randolph Street for emergency sewer repairs. That work is related to the ongoing State Lake CTA Station reconstruction project. The closure is expected to last around 6 weeks. Southbound traffic, including CTA buses, will be detoured. This report is a service of the AM 560 store. Order t-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Proft University and The Sean Thompson Show, when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Looking for a powerful way to support your immune system? Now's your chance to win a free bottle of Virgo, the immune enhancement cocktail made with 23 science-backed ingredients, including vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and natural nutraceuticals designed to support your body's natural defenses. 10 winners will each receive a free bottle. Hey, don't miss your shot to boost your wellness routine. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/immune. That's 560theanswer.com/IMMUNE.
Born on America's darkest day, 9/11/01, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been helping American heroes ever since. Heroes like FDNY Lieutenant Edward J. McDonough Jr. McDonough served at Ground Zero. He later lost his life to a related cancer. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation was able to honor his sacrifice by paying off the family's mortgage. Donate $11 a month, and you can amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Just go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Life is full of challenges, but you don't have to face them alone. At intouch.org, you'll find powerful sermons from Dr. Charles Stanley, daily devotionals, and resources designed to strengthen your faith and bring hope into your everyday life. Whether you're searching for encouragement, biblical wisdom, or practical guidance, intouch.org is here to help you grow closer to God. Discover truth that speaks to your heart. Visit intouch.org today. Thanks.
My name is Dr. Michael Huber, co-founder of Virgo, the immune enhancement cocktail. Virgo has earned its place in your medicine cabinet. It's your proven go-to for the flu, colds, and COVID. But you already know that part of the story. But today I want to tell you that if you're suffering from diabetes, hypertension, or autoimmune diseases, we want you to know that they share one common thread. They are inflammation machines. And that inflammation assaults your heart, your brain, and your kidneys 24/7. It's a silent, constant attack on your vital organs, wearing them down every single day. Taking Virgo every day shields your heart, protects your kidneys, and guard your brain from chronic inflammation. Virgo, the new protective standard in immunity.
Order your bottle of Virgo online today at myvirgo.com. That's myvirgo.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%.
At Terra Vista of Oak Brook Terrace, dementia care isn't just what we do. It's all we do. We specialize in caring for those with Alzheimer's and other types of dementia. We're on the forefront of dementia care with a barrier-free, stress-free environment, so residents can explore safely and feel at home. But what truly sets Terra Vista apart? Personalized care. We take the time to learn each resident's story, where they lived, their routines, former careers, even the names of family members. Anyone who interacts with your loved one can immediately make them feel comfortable and understood. We meet our residents right where they are. Residents stay strong and engaged with multi-sensory activities, music, art, horticulture, our beautiful 18,000 square foot outdoor space, and even a personal trainer. At Terra Vista, residents aren't defined by their dementia. We honor the whole person. Speak to an advisor or schedule a tour today at terravista.org. Again, that's terravista.org, and tell them AM 560 sent you.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results, done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com, and schedule your free in-home consultation today.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The ceasefire in Iran will be a big win for President Trump if the Strait opens and stays open. And we'll know over the course of 2 weeks whether or not that happens. If it does, the world's oil supply will surge a bit, and the remnants of the Iranian regime will have a chance to inventory the destruction that has rained down on their forces for 5 weeks. If the Strait doesn't reopen, or the attacks on Israel or our Gulf allies don't cease, another round of the Third Gulf War will soon commence. President Trump issued his ultimatum. His never-evolving critics denounced his language, though it got through to whomever is running the bunkers in Iran. The war is far from over, but long conflicts never resolve in a month, and this one's 47 years old. Fundamental things are afoot in the Middle East, most of them very good indeed. Freedom for the long-suffering Iranian people and stability in the Middle East has never been closer since 1979. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hackberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Jammed northbound on the Tri-State into 31st Street, all because of a collision in the left lane. Delays start right around Ogden Avenue, then more slowdowns as you approach the Ike. The Reagan Memorial also slows down as you approach the Tri-State. Now, we are doing great on the Edens, just 15 minutes both ways from Lake Cook to Montrose. Inbound on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burnt Interchange is 28 minutes. Outbound is 28 minutes as well. You are slow as you approach Manheim Road. The Ike is 26 in, 20 out from Wolf to the old post office. Inbound Stevenson is 37 minutes. Outbound is 25 from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. 28 minutes inbound on the Dan Ryan from 95th to Burn Interchange. Outbound is 11. Slow in the express lanes inbound between Garfield Boulevard and the Stevenson. News is a service of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. Brighten your home and make rooms in your house look better and bigger with larger windows or patio doors this spring. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your consultation today. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly cloudy and breezy with warm temperatures reaching a high of 80 degrees, approaching the record high of 83 set in 2023. Later this afternoon, there is a chance of a thunderstorm in the area. Tonight will remain overcast and warm with a low of 66 degrees and the possibility of a thunderstorm continuing in the area. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
morning, Dan Proft here. At least New York Times columnist Tom Friedman is somewhat honest. At least he's somewhat honest. He'd like to see the Trump administration's goals with respect to Iran achieved, but he's really having difficulty fully embracing an outcome he'd like to see because he doesn't want that outcome to benefit Trump or Bibi.
Yeah, I find myself, Michael, in a situation where I really want to see Iran defeated militarily, because this regime is a terrible regime for its people in the region, and nothing would improve the region more than the replacement of this regime with a regime in Iran that was focused on enabling its people to realize their full potential and integrating peacefully with other countries and stop occupying Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. So I'm all for that. The problem is I really don't want to see Bibi Netanyahu or Donald Trump politically strengthened by this war, because they are two awful human beings. They're both engaged in anti-democratic projects in their own countries. They're both alleged crooks. They are terrible, terrible people doing terrible things to America's standing in the world and Israel's standing in the world. And so I really find myself torn. I want to see Iran militarily defeated, but I do not want to see these two terrible people strengthened.
Yeah, and so, hey, Tom, which would you prioritize? Because those two terrible people, as you call them, aren't going anywhere in the foreseeable future. So now that they're not, I mean, Smirkanish on CNN didn't follow up with this obvious question, but so now that we're going to live in the real world, Tom, I mean, this guy's a Pulitzer Prize winner, and this is the quality of his thinking. So now that we understand that Netanyahu's not going anywhere, Donald Trump's not going anywhere, what would you like to see happen exactly? Can you bring yourself to say that we want Iran defeated? You want Iran defeated militarily? That you want enriched uranium out of their hands and the Strait of Hormuz open? And if you can also foment regime change, maybe not on the desired timeline, but in the near term, by continuing to debilitate the regime as constituted, that would be the net positive for the region and the world, including America. And so your petty dislike of a couple of heads of state should be subordinated to that larger purpose. What do you think? Can you bring yourself to be an adult, Tom? As I said, though, at least that he gives voice to what so many other people are thinking, as we're supposed to take them seriously. They populate the Sunday talkies. But that's nothing compared to what Robert Pay from the University of Chicago has to say. I mean, we've had him on the show before. I mean, I like him okay, but wow. You know how you turn a country into a major world power? You destroy it militarily and you debilitate its industrial base. That's how you turn a nation into a major world player. Robert Pate explaining that what America has done is propel Iran.
What all this adds up to is growing power of Iran, diminishing power of the United States. And on top of all of that, Amy, over the next months and year, there will be $100 billion of oil revenues going into Iran. This will be in Chinese banks that can be used to transform that nuclear-enriched material into working nuclear weapons. And if we can't destroy the drones in those deep caves, what makes us think we're really going to stop Iran from becoming a nuclear power in the next 6 months or a year? You add all that up, and Iran will become a nuclear weapons oil hegemon in the near future, in the coming months, coming years. That means it will be the fourth center of world power?
I mean, that's a theory. I guess, anything under the sun is plausible. So the best thing that's ever happened to Iran was the last 40 days. Set the stage for their elevation into a fourth center of power across the world. Boy, I'm having a hard time seeing that picture come into focus. Maybe Stephen Bucci can help us. Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. Now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's always my pleasure. Thanks for having me back.
Robert Pape's argument that this is setting the stage for a nuclearized, oil-rich regional hegemon and major global player.
I don't know how he's going there. I suppose you could make the argument, America's efforts to defang them and to as a result, probably end up with regime change is going to backfire and it's not going to work. But so what's your choice? Just sit there and let them get the nuclear weapons and the long-range ballistic missiles now and not try and do anything? Because, they may get them anyway. So I guess we'll just sit here and let them become, a nuclear assassin country. I also like the thing with Friedman, by the way. I thought that was interesting. What he is describing is the equivalent of saying, Hitler and Mussolini are really crappy people. They're really bad guys. But, Churchill's just a drunk. I don't think we can work with him. I'm kind of conflicted as to which side to go with, because one, I don't like him personally, but the other ones, they're megalomaniacal mass killers. But, it's a tough choice.
Yeah.
That's lunacy, too. I'm with you. I generally have had a lot of respect for Friedman. Don't necessarily agree with him on a lot of things, but he's usually pretty rational. But, boy, he is admitting that his hate of Netanyahu and of Trump is so over-the-top irrational that he can't get himself to cheer for the elimination of a regime that he admits is the worst thing that's available in the Middle East. But, the Iranian people be darned. It's just I don't like Trump and Netanyahu, so maybe they won't win. Come on. This is insanity.
Well, the Pape argument, though, too, is more ridiculous than that. I mean, at least the geopolitics, it seems to me, even if you weren't able to get regime change, even if you weren't able to get the enriched uranium out, the idea that Iran is going to be a nuclear power in the next 6 to 12 months and be swimming in cash and Bitcoin because of oil production and their sales to their friends, the Chinese communists and others. I mean, I don't see any scenario in which that timeline, at least, is plausible for that outcome.
Well, I agree that his timeline described is kind of ridiculously fast. But, I mean, even the only way they could get to what he's describing is if we had walked up when J.D. Vance got there in Pakistan and said, you know what, you guys are right. All that stuff you're asking for, you want to control the Hormuz Straits. That's fine. You want to be able to do all your nuke stuff without any interference. Oh, okay. Well, maybe we've been a little unreasonable. You want to fund and have an umbrella of protection over all of your proxies while they do their bad things. Okay, well, that's not unreasonable. If we completely capitulated to everything they were asking for, maybe that would happen. I don't see that as a particularly likely outcome, though.
No, and the other thing too. So if we didn't achieve the objectives here, starting with preventing the advance of their nuclear weapons ambitions, and then the Strait continues to be a nagging problem in terms of passage. So then we would just withdraw, and we would pay no attention to what's going on in the Middle East on a go-forward basis until there's a new administration. I don't think that's very likely either. So, I mean, these sort of conventional thinkers, the combination of convention and Trump hatred, I mean, are really fomenting some fascinating theories about what's likely to occur.
Agreed. It's stuff detached from any sort of reality or any possibility, and it's also thinking that some of these folks who are wishing tremendously that President Trump would completely fail and all of this would be terrible, and he'll get all the blame for it, so then they'll get back in power and be able to fix everything. I don't think Trump's done yet. If you look at the results of the weekend's worth of negotiations, Vance laid out a pretty reasonable and very unsurprising list of demands, which are the same ones they have been demanding since this started. And when they said no, he said, okay, then we don't have any way to talk.
Yeah, we walk away.
This is the
as opposed to having as opposed to John Kerry running after them. Hey, please make a deal. Please make a deal.
Yeah, it's so if you think J.D. Vance is suddenly going to morph into John Kerry, you might believe that some of these outcomes are possible. He's not, and nor is President Trump, Barack Obama, or Joe Biden, and they're not done yet. The results are too important for America, for the region, for the Iranian people, for us to walk away and say, oh, never mind. That's just not happening.
All right, so let's talk about the blockade that's supposed to be initiated today, and the underwater drones doing the mine sweeping to find the mines that the Iranians forgot where they put, at least according to the New York Times. A senior fellow, a policy wonk with the Washington Institute, which is U.S.-based, estimates that more than 60% of the Revolutionary Guard's fast-attacked craft and speedboat fleet remains intact, and that's the fleet that is posing the threat to ships moving through the strait. So what is your anticipation? I mean, what is the strategic vision, do you think, for the blockade? And what do you anticipate in terms of the ability of the U.S. to effectively impose it while it's also conducting this other task of trying to continue to eliminate the capacity of Iran for retaliatory strikes, this fast attack craft speedboat fleet, and continue to demine the strait as needed?
As much as I am loath to give the United States Navy credit for anything, because after all, I went to the other school, I have to tell you, they are some pretty darned effective folks at doing more than one thing at the same time. They have the capacity. There's enough naval power there, augmented, by the way, by a lot of Marine and Army power. The Air Force, the A-10s, the Apaches, the other aircraft that are there. Getting those fast attack boats, they're pretty vulnerable. They're not like submarines that can sneak around and hide. They're not armored. They're like World War II PT boats, except we recognize they're dangerous. And once the gloves come off and President Trump says, fine, anything that comes out of those ports, sink it before it gets out. That's what they'll do. And they'll do it very effectively. And I think the Iranians are really dreaming if they think those fast attack boats are going to be able to have that big an effect on the United States Navy when it's in a wartime footing. So
you're not concerned about Iran? I mean, you're not concerned is the wrong word. Obviously, there's always concern because you have, American soldiers in harm's way. But my point is to say, the macro view of it, you're not concerned about the ability to achieve the strategic objective here, which seems to me punish Iran. We're going to choke off the choke point. You got no cash coming in. You have to reveal yourself if you want to try to strike our guys, and we're going to then further decimate your guys. So it's just going to tighten the noose a little bit more at a time, and it's going to bring them back to the table to give Trump what he wants. That has to be the philosophy in short order. I don't think this is intended to be, a months-long open-ended blockade of the blockader. So he has to be trying to drive them to the point I'm describing in short order, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I think there's going to be some pretty tough messaging that's going to go out to the Chinese and to the Russians to say, back off, don't try and test us because we'll stop you from coming in. And the little deals that were cut on the side to try and keep the gas prices down with the Russians, that's going to go away. And in very short order, there may be some additional pain. And I know my fellow Americans, all of us who drive, non-electric cars, we're going to scream bloody murder. But I'm sorry, this is a necessary thing for our national security. And America needs to recognize that, and the left needs to recognize this. I don't think that last one is a big possibility, but they should. It's more than doable. It's doable in a short term, and it is way within the capabilities of the United States Navy, and particularly if we get even a little bit of help from some of our allies and friends, which I think we will, you're going to see this get ratcheted down quickly and have a very, very fast effect on Iran.
And so those suggesting that, as you heard Pape mention, you had former Pakistani ambassador to the U.S., basically suggesting what we're seeing now is the diminution of America actually in the Middle East, and if not the rise of Iran, then sort of, to borrow from Fareed Zakaria, the rise of the rest in the Middle East at the expense of America and I suppose Israel. I don't know. I'm having a hard time following the logic of this thinking, but that's something that Maliha Lodi, Pakistan's broker in the U.S.-Iran talks, told Bloomberg News that that this temporary situation, if it does remain temporary, with Strait of Hormuz, means that the U.S. is again underestimating the nationalism, just as it did in Afghanistan, for example. That military supremacy doesn't necessarily mean that you get regime change or the objectives achieved that you want. And the combined military might of the United States and Israel took a country. This is his words. Took a country that was militarily much weaker, whose allies in the region had also been weak, and yet that country resisted. What it basically says is the era of America's dominance in the region is basically over. And what I'm seeing is an expression that would tend one to conclude just the opposite.
I'm with you. His comments might be aspirational. That may be what he's hoping will happen. But the fact that all of the Gulf Arabs are not suddenly kowtowing to Tehran and saying, oh, we better back out of this because it looks like Tehran's going to win this. They're gearing up. They're getting ready to join the fight. That's so over the top amazing. And they realize, and they realized it before, but now they're saying that this part out loud. They know Iran is the problem, not America. And they want to be on the side of the solution, not on the side of the problem. So, I don't know how Pakistan suddenly falls in love with Iran. I think that's a huge strategic error on their part. And you're going to energize the Indians. You're going to energize the Gulf Arabs. there's going to be a lot of folks, I think, are going to join a coalition of the willing to see this nonsense end and realize that saving Iran's totally corrupt government is a really bad, desirable outcome for the other side. And Pakistan needs to realize they're not being an honest broker. They're on the wrong side of this argument.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as Army Special Forces officer, top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And Stephen joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Croscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Croscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Croscom.
Call Croscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Croscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Croscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Croscom.
Croscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Croscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CroscomPublicAdjusters.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up at 7:37, we'll get another contrarian perspective. I always love those. Jonathan Aitken is an author, broadcaster, columnist. He's a former cabinet minister and member of parliament across the pond in merry old England. He's also an ex-prisoner and now priest and part-time prison chaplain. He's worn a lot of hats over his career. He thinks things are going very badly for the United States in the region, and the UAE and Oman could be the big winners from this conflict. Jonathan Aitken joins us 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 65 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. The former mayor of Dalton is running for office in Georgia. Tiffany Haynier announced her candidacy for the Fulton County Commission, running as a Republican. She's facing a challenge to her candidacy due to residency issues, and she's still under investigation in Dalton for her handling of the city's finances. A 10-year-old girl is dead and an 18-year-old man is in critical condition following a house fire. Officials say that fire broke out early this morning in the Washington Heights neighborhood. The 10-year-old was found inside the burning home. She was rushed to the hospital where she later died from injuries. The cause of that fire is under investigation. One person is dead after being hit by a vehicle on Chicago's near West Side. Police say a 17-year-old girl told officers that she was driving an SUV last night when she hit the woman who was crossing the street against the signal near Ogden and Ashland. The victim died at the hospital. No citations are pending. News is the service of American Beam and Steel structural repair licensed contractors for your home and business. Search for American Beam and Steel online to schedule your consultation directly with the owner, Mark. American Beam and Steel. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher explains the president's stance.
He's up against a world where on Saturday Night Live, Easter weekend, they joked about hoping that he gets assassinated, with the audience cheering that on. You think he cares who he offends on Easter Sunday morning with a profane-laden post? I just think it's a good time to remember that we didn't elect our pastor.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
What's in the Hasselus having mattress right now?
Beg your pardon?
I can't sleep another night on that mattress. This is driving me crazy.
Whoa, you're talking way too low. It reminds me of the way too low prices on Sealy Posturepedic, Beauty Rest, and more at Hasselus Mattress.
Are they really low?
You're probably asking, how low? Check out the Beauty Sleep by Beauty Rest Queen Aspen Cove B Hybrid. Others sell it for $1,015, but Hasselus has it for just $846.
Maybe you're inquiring about a free box spring with the purchase of any Beauty Rest or Sealy Posturepedic mattress for a limited time, or take an equal amount off an adjustable base. I assume you're asking whether Hassellus Mattress has employee-free showrooms, free next-day delivery, setup and removal of your old mattress, and free financing.
Huh?
Yes, we do.
Holy cow!
See? People are talking about Hassellus Mattress. Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at hassellus.com.
Why would you take your precious metal collections to some fly-by-night roadshow that rolls into town once a year? The only thing you need to do is follow the road to Fox Valley Coins and show your gold or silver to the team. Gold is at an all-time historical high, so don't keep sitting on your coin hoards or old jewelry that you've been saving to sell when the time is right. The time is right now. Prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins in bars, but also those old coin collections. You might have scarce dates or higher grade coins, so take advantage of the record high market price and the demand now. Whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out values, trust the team at Fox Valley Coins. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction or your money back. File in the Credit Karma app.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Still doing great on the Edens, 16 minutes both ways from Lake Hook to Montrose, 31 in, 33 out on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange, 29 minutes inbound on the Ike from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 22 on the reverse side. You've got 40 minutes inbound on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore, outbound is 27, 36 in, 11 out on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange, and then you're up and go inbound in the express lanes between 63rd Street and the Stevenson, Lakeshore Drive northbound hitting the brakes between Bryn Mawr Avenue and Hollywood Avenue, and Route 53 slows down northbound between the Jane Addams and Euclid Avenue. This report is a service of AutoZone. Get in the zone, starting stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly cloudy, breezy, and warm with a high temperature reaching 80 degrees, approaching the record high of 83 set in 2023. Expect a thunderstorm in the area later this afternoon. Tonight will be overcast, breezy, and warm with a low temperature of 66 degrees, along with a chance of a thunderstorm in the area. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. David Remnick, he of The New Yorker, one of the deep thinkers in the D.C. press corps. You'll remember David Remnick after Trump won in 2016. He was the first to call for the normal rules of journalism to be suspended and the D.C. press corps to be singularly focused on impeding Trump's policy agenda because, of course, Trump was a madman who was going to bring about the end of Western civilization. And so it was up to the David Remnicks of the world to prevent that from happening. Writing more recently, since Western civilization did survive Trump's first term, looks poised to survive his second term, too. Good news for David. Writing in the the New Yorker, David Remnick. The president's war, though, seems poised to achieve little that was not already available through pre-war diplomacy or through some renewed version of the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal secured by the Obama administration. In fact, the original sin of this is a disaster, was Trump's abandonment of the deal in 2018. For all its limits, it had stalled Iran's march toward an atomic weapon. Did it? Well, then, what was blown up last June in those strikes? So Remnick goes on to say, the war stands as a strategic failure and moral calamity. The ceasefire is already fragile. Was it ever believed to be anything other than that? But I digress. Trump's principal envoys to the region, Witkoff, Kushner, almost certainly misread Iran's capabilities and intentions. A Iran expert who formerly worked in intel for the Israelis, telling David Remnick, quote, this is a colossal disaster and should have never happened. It will, quote, haunt the region and world for many years to come. Perhaps most particularly the Iranians, which was kind of the point. But again, I digress. Our next guest may share David Remnick's view, at least in part. He writes, the Americans are already big losers in terms of reputational face and folly. The zigzags of Donald Trump's strategic pronouncements make no sense from day to day. The bombastic boasts of the War Secretary Pete Hegseth have turned him into the comical Ali of this conflict. The Pentagon spokesman is now saying the situation is fluid, quote unquote, which is hardly a convincing cry of victory after 3 weeks of fierce fighting. The gentleman who wrote those words is Jonathan Aitken, author, broadcaster, and columnist. He's a former cabinet minister and member of parliament in the UK, also an ex-prisoner and now priest and part-time prison chaplain. As I said before he joined us, a man of many hats over the years. Jonathan Aitken, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
Before we get to your particular views on this, in your piece in The Spectator that I was referencing, you provided some background of your sort of personal history and experience in the Middle East, and I just wanted to give you the opportunity to offer that too, just in terms of informing your understanding of the region and the views you've come to hold about the current conflict.
Well, I guess I'm regarded here in this country as an expert on the Middle East. This is a very doubtful title because there's an old joke here that the Middle East is a university where the student never takes his degree, and everything changing. And of course, it's changing tremendously in this war. But I have, for many years, both as a government minister, as a member of parliament, and as a journalist and as a writer, been in the Gulf. And I know some of the countries like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates and Oman very well. So I bring a degree of knowledge, but I don't certainly claim omniscience, as many pundits and commentators are up to do. The situation is still evolving. I think so far it's difficult, at least from this angle, to discern quite how President Trump wants to end this war, and whether he can end it with an enemy, an adversary, who, of course, wins if he just survives. And that is very often the case. I was a war correspondent in Vietnam, and everyone thought at the beginning America was bound to win by firepower. The Vietnamese only really had to survive by willpower to ultimately win the war. And there's some danger of this happening here in the Gulf. But where we are today, well, we just don't know. I think verbally, President Trump, who I admire in many ways, nevertheless keeps on overplaying his hand, claiming greater victories than actually occurred. Could America still be in a winning position? Yes. But we just don't know, and it's very difficult days ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that. I think we don't know at this stage is definitely a fair assessment. But so then I wonder what your reaction is to the latest move announced over the weekend, of course, which is to be implemented as we're talking, the blockade of the blockaders, and whether or not that can, if the regime could survive and under Galabaf or whoever's left, in terms of the same sort of attitude and ideology, but if it survived with essentially a de minimis Navy and Air Force, with the strait reopened such that maritime traffic was moving as it was pre-conflict conflict, or a change in supplier with more of Asia and Europe looking to America in particular, and the industrial base decimated in terms of its ability to at least quickly restart any sort of effort to nuclearize. Then even if the regime survives in a debilitated state with the same ideology, I wouldn't call that necessarily a victory from any reasonable perspective.
No. I think this is a war which there are unlikely to be any victors. Where we are today, America certainly can't claim victory, despite what Mr. Hegseth says. But it could claim victory, and there are an awful lot of ifs in what you just said. Now,
yes.
The Strait of Hormuz can be opened again, and that's quite problematical. I used to be a defense minister here in this country, and I do know that the Strait of Hormuz is very, very vulnerable to small mines and patrol boats firing things. And the people who decide this is not the American Navy. It's going to be the ships of the international shipping companies, whether they can safely, even with the most enormous insurance, drive their ships through the Strait of Hormuz. And as long as there are mines and small boats attacking them, that's going to be pretty tough. And the fact that there may be American battleships and destroyers trying to help them, I don't think will convince many a sea captain that it's going to be safe enough to still go through the Strait of Hormuz. We'll wait and see. We don't know. But American military firepower can deliver many things, but can it deliver completely clear Straits of Hormuz? I doubt it myself.
And broadening this discussion to include some of the Gulf states that have moved ever closer to the West in the era post-Abraham Accords and frankly, after receiving incoming from the Iranians when they had the capacity to deliver more retaliatory strikes. What about the UAE and other Gulf states that can provide that coalition of the willing, if you will, for safe passage through the strait, as well as for sort of a continued marginalization of Iran, building on what has been done to date?
Well, I think the coalition of the willing, even with America's help, cannot certainly provide a safe passage through the Straits of Hormuz by tankers. And the amount that states like the UAE can do is pretty marginal. But I think the nation to watch in this crisis right now is Oman. It's the biggest Gulf states with enormous strategic importance, and they have maintained a rather clever neutrality. I give great credit to the new ruler of Oman, Sultan Haytham, for maintaining a kind of Swiss-type neutrality, which annoys, I suspect, the United States and some of its Gulf neighbors. But it is the key to safe passage of oil out of the Middle East and into the wider oceans of the world. And without going into enormous detail, there are some amazing new ports being built on the Indian Ocean side of Oman, and the new ruler, Sultan Haytham, is doing great emphasis on these ports which are being linked by rail to the great pipelines from Abu Dhabi and elsewhere. There's a port called Duqm, there's a port called Sohar, and if you think carefully for the future security of travel, watch Oman and its moderate, sensible, wise leadership, which hasn't gone overboard either to support Iran because it's just friendly, or gone overboard in subservience and obeisance to America. It's friendly with America, It has an American base somewhere which has been shot at by some of the hotheads from the Gulf. But nevertheless, it is a country which will play its part, I think, in a big way in getting both safe passage of oil out of the Middle East and into the wider world. So I don't think this situation is hopeless at all. We mustn't sort of always listen to the military. I know some of the military's strengths and weaknesses, having been defense minister myself. They don't always deliver quite as perfectly as the Pentagon or the British Ministry of Defense say. And their powers are limited. What really matters is some peaceful coexistence so that the oil does flow across the world. And my tip is to your listeners today, that Oman could be the key to it.
What's your assessment of the approach that Keir Starmer has taken and the Western European nations that, at least on this matter, are now at odds with President Trump, vis-a-vis NATO?
I'm on President Trump's side on this matter. Keir Starmer, in the view of many people in this country, is proved a complete wet fish when it comes to giving the United States the kind of backing it deserves. The idea that we don't allow British bases to be used by American planes and that kind of thing is just totally wrong in terms of Anglo-American cooperation of the past and history. We should be each other's best allies. The French and others have often been not very dependable. But President Trump is right to be very skeptical and hostile and critical of some of the NATO allies. I don't think this is the end of NATO. NATO will be rebuilt and re-strengthened, perhaps under another future president. But to be critical of NATO countries now is absolutely fair and right by President Trump.
I just, wanted some backstory. I mentioned at the outset, ex-prisoner and now priest and part-time prison chaplain. Can you provide some color on those experiences and what brought you to the priesthood?
Sure. Well, I was a cabinet minister here for some years, and I was even tipped as a future prime minister, which is the kiss of death. To be tipped as a presidential future or prime ministerial future. I made a bad mistake in my career. I got into a libel case with a newspaper, and in the course of that libel case, I told a lie on oath, and fairly enough, I was prosecuted, and fairly enough, I short-served 7 months in prison for perjury. Having come out of it, I always had a Christian faith, and I think I looked around a little bit as to how I could serve the Lord after the prison experience, and I found there were very few priests going into our prisons, very few people in this area, and I went back to Oxford University to study theology for 3 years, and then eventually I became an ordained priest and now a prison chaplain. And that's really what I do. I'm getting on in years. I'm 83, but I still go regularly as a chaplain at the prisons, and I still maintain a role in British public life because I speak, I hope, occasionally well for God in sermons, but also occasionally on secular matters like the war in the Gulf. And that may sound a rather strange combination, but anyway, that's what I do part of the time, and I hope I'm serving both God and country.
That's fascinating. Do you ever, do you know, or do you ever run across a friend of the show here, Theodore Dalrymple, or Anthony Daniels as his real name?
I know of them. I've had great American influence on my own spiritual journey. A man called Chuck Colson.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And became a great Christian spokesman. I worked with him for many years until his death and was on his board of directors in the international side. So I'm very familiar, and I quite often come and preach in American churches, which I enjoy very much.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a parallel experience, you and Chuck Colson. Very interesting. Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
Great work. Jonathan Aiken, author, broadcaster, columnist, former cabinet minister, member of parliament, ex-prisoner, and now priest and part-time prison chaplain, as we were just discussing. Jonathan Aiken, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me on your show.
And he joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage. AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour, we'll do a postmortem on the Artemis II voyage with a egghead from University of Colorado. Coming up at 8:08, we talk a lot about preventable crime, foreign and domestic. Preventable crime, foreign and domestic. And that's particularly so with the trucking industry. We'll pour over a 60 Minutes expose that aired last night at 8:08. It's now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Instead of bombing Iran, the U.S. will blockade it. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. In the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran refused to reopen fully, like President Trump demanded when agreeing to a ceasefire. He told reporters last night, flying back to Washington after weekend talks fizzled.
Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. Will not have. There is no way that they're going to get. They still want it.
So 1 hour from now,
the U.S. Navy starting a blockade on Iranian ports around the Strait of Hormuz.
Fox's Trey Yingst also reports from Tel Aviv.
Now, the Iranian military is warning that no Gulf ports will be safe if their own ports are threatened. We understand there are a variety of contingencies in place, and U.S. Central Command says that humanitarian vessels and regular commercial ships not coming from Iran will be allowed to use the Strait of Hormuz.
The stock market sell-off looms with futures falling as oil prices spike up about 8%. Pope Leo, who's been critical of the conflict in Iran, just spoke out in Algeria against continuous violations of international law after President Trump ranted against the Pope on Truth Social and told reporters on Air Force One,
I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo. He's a very liberal person. person, and he's a man that doesn't believe in stopping crime.
The Pope on his plane headed to Africa responded.
I don't want to get into a debate with him. I don't think that the message of the gospel is meant to be abused in the way that some people are doing. And I will continue to speak out loudly against war.
Congressman Eric Swalwell is dropping out of the race for governor in California, facing sexual misconduct allegations from 4 women.
He made the announcement on X suspending his campaign, writing, quote, "To my family, staff, friends, and supporters, I am deeply sorry for mistakes in judgment I've made in my past. I will fight the serious false allegations that have been made, but that's my fight, not a campaign's." Some Democrats and Republicans have said that if Swalwell does not resign, they will try to bring a vote to force him out of the post.
That's Alex Hogan. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 66 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A Chicago man has been charged with murdering his elderly mother and then hiding her body in a basement room. Fox 32 Chicago's Joni Lum has more.
88-year-old Danius Graves was described as a sweet woman by neighbors. She was reported missing, last seen March 27th. The police alert indicated she had heart disease, high blood pressure, and circulation issues, but neighbors say she was sharp and could drive. Police arrested 66-year-old Kevin Works. Works is charged with first-degree murder and concealing a death. The woman's body was inside the house, reportedly wrapped in a rug.
An autopsy found that Graves suffered 17 blunt force injuries, including a large open wound to the top of her head that exposed her skull. Police are looking for a woman suspected of shooting 3 men on Sunday. According to reports, the men were standing outside a bar on West Irving Park Road early Sunday morning when a woman dressed in black fired at them from a distance before she ran away. One of the 3 men was shot multiple times. He was listed in critical condition, while the other 2 were listed in fair condition. It's unknown what led up to that shooting. A 10-year-old girl has died, and an 18-year-old man is in critical condition following a house fire. Officials say that fire broke out early this morning in the Washington Heights neighborhood. The 10-year-old was found inside the burning home. She was rushed to the hospital, where she later passed away from her injuries. The cause of that fire is under investigation. The former mayor of Dalton is running for office in Georgia. Tiffany Hayniard announced her candidacy for the Fulton County Commission, running as a Republican. She's facing a challenge to her candidacy due to residency issues, and she's still under investigation in Dalton for the handling of the city's finances. This report is a service of the AM 560 store. Order t-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Prop University and The Sean Thompson Show, when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes, but it's time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stock futures are losing ground. Crude oil prices are higher after talks to end the Iran conflict fell apart over the weekend. President Trump says the U.S. will blockade any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. Aluminum prices are at a 4-year high. The Wall Street Journal says the Middle East accounts for about 9% of global aluminum output. A strike against a major meat packer has been settled. The union has ratified an agreement that represents 3,800 workers at the Greeley, Colorado JBS beef plant. They walked off the job March 16th. The United Food and Commercial Workers International Union says the deal includes numerous improvements and no concessions. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosolda. Invested in you.
Alex Marlow doesn't like the roster.
We've accomplished a lot in the first year and a quarter of Trump's administration, probably far beyond most of our expectations. When I look at the slate of the Democrats, just in terms of issues, their people, what they're arguing for, they have zero charisma. They have zero ideas of any value.
The Alex Marlow Show. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, this is Sean Thompson. You know, most of us spend our entire lives in the paycheck mode. You work, you get 30% taken from the G, you pay your bills, repeat and rinse. And that's how time goes by. Then all of a sudden you're old. Retirement hits. Suddenly, you're the one who has to figure out your paycheck that isn't there anymore. Markets are bumpy, prices are up, things can get stressful real fast. That's why having a real income plan matters. Tom Fortino and the team at Alpha Wealth Group can help you build a strategy to turn your hard-earned savings into a reliable retirement income. They coordinate with your Social Security and your tax planning, so you can stop wondering if you're withdrawing the right amount at the right time. Tom Fortino and the people of Alpha Wealth Group have been doing this for 30 years. They can help you by giving you a complimentary retirement roadmap. And all you have to do is call 630-864-6711. That's 630-864-6711 or online at alphawealthgroup.com.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Now, this 25th anniversary of 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation remains committed to honoring the heroes shaped by that day. Heroes like NYPD Detective Victor Vargas, a U.S. Air Force veteran who died from pancreatic cancer after serving in the World Trade Center recovery efforts. Tunnel to Towers honored Detective Vargas by paying off the family's mortgage. You can donate $11 a month, and you can amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Life is full of challenges, but you don't have to face them alone. At intouch.org, you'll find powerful sermons from Dr. Charles Stanley, daily devotionals, and resources designed to strengthen your faith and bring hope into everyday life. Whether you're searching for encouragement, biblical wisdom, or practical guidance, intouch.org is here to help you grow closer to God. Discover truth that speaks to your heart. Visit intouch.org today. That's intouch.org. Thanks.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hackwork Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. 16 in on the Edens from Lake Hook to Montrose, but getting busy outbound 22 minutes. 43 minutes both ways on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange. Stop and go inbound in the express lanes between Kimball Avenue and Ohio Street. 38 in, 30 out on the Ike from Wolf to the old post office. 58 minutes, almost an hour inbound on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. Outbound is 40. You've got 36 in, 12 out on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange. Stop and go inbound on the express lanes between the Chicago Skyway and the Stevenson, and we're jammed on the Bishop Ford inbound between 103rd and the Dan Ryan, but completely solid northbound Lakeshore Drive between Bryn Mawr Avenue and Hollywood Avenue. This report is a service of Fox Valley Coins, currently buying all gold and silver bars and coins, silver dollars, rare date proof, and mint sets. Visit foxvalleycoins.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly cloudy and breezy with warm temperatures reaching a high of 80 degrees, approaching the record high of 83 set in 2023. Later this afternoon, there is a chance of a thunderstorm in the area. Tonight will remain overcast and warm with a low of 66 degrees and the possibility of a thunderstorm continuing in the area. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and we've unfortunately gone over too many stories like these in recent months. Well, you know, the last 16 since Trump took office. Pakistani illegal alien truck driver accused of killing Maryland father in crash. illegal alien semi-truck driver accused of killing Hendry Tamares Nunez, father of two, in Maryland resident, a highway crash in Pennsylvania. Last month, March, Ohio father and 11-year-old son killed in crash caused by an alleged non-citizen truck driver. Driver plowed into congested traffic on I-75 North, striking 4 passenger vehicles and other semi-truck. This month, also Ohio, 3 people, including a 1-year-old, died after a semi-truck plowed in to stop traffic in a work zone, triggering a 9-car pileup. It's unclear whether or not the driver in question in this case is in the country legally or not. But this is one of those things where we talk about preventable crime that is both foreign and domestic related, because you're giving out CDL licenses willy-nilly, because perhaps you have some trucking company operators that are less than reputable. And I know we have a lot of over-the-road truck drivers who listen to the show, so any personal experience or insight from being in the industry you care to offer, be happy to hear again. 312-642-5600. That's the alphawealthgroup.com call-in and text line. Because 60 Minutes did an expose on this yesterday that sort of transcends both the illegal immigrant as well as the American citizen, and perhaps with foreign ownership of the trucking company. The so-called chameleon carriers. This was the particular focus of the 60 Minutes expose. Chameleon carriers, and they got some assistance from a long-time over-the-road truck driver named Rob Carpenter, who went from being a truck driver for some 2 decades to becoming a safety consultant for carriers. Take a listen.
Chameleon carriers are basically a network of companies, and they constantly reincarnate. And the idea is we are revenue focused. We are going to start this trucking company. We are going to run it into the ground to make as much money as we possibly can.
Rob Carpenter has been a trucker for 25 years. He now is a trucking safety consultant and has been tracking chameleon companies, which have surged since the pandemic. Chameleon carriers, as their name suggests, are commercial trucking operations that skirt federal regulations and escape bad safety records by changing company names to evade detection.
And when you move on to the next, you're really doing that to try to abandon the history that you've created with that other trucking company, because you've run so poorly in the past year, right? So then you just adopt a new identity and you move on to a new carrier.
Just dissolve that company
just
and
completely
slap
dissolve
a new
it.
name on the truck and move
That's
on.
right.
You can see how easy it is in this undercover video shot by another trucker. Same drivers, same trucks, same bad records. In this case, hundreds of violations erased with the switch of a carrier name and Department of Transportation number, the federal ID used to track a carrier's safety history.
You've got no violations, you've got no crashes. Things that people are going to look at and scrutinize on whether they're going to let you haul their freight or not don't exist. You're just a clean carrier to them.
And the foreign ownership piece of this?
Networks, often owned and operated from Eastern Europe, India, and Central Asia, set up chameleon carriers in the U.S. with different names and owners, who then register with the Department of Transportation, secure minimal insurance.
And within 21 days, you have a trucking company.
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes. There's no requirement to own a trucking company that you be an American. You can start it from anywhere in the world. $1,000, pay online, say you are who you say you are, and you've got a trucking company.
Do you have any idea how many of them there are?
You got 700,000 trucking companies. Let's just say the general estimate is 10 to 20% are operating somewhere in that spectrum of chameleon carrier. Thousands of trucking companies.
Yeah, 10 to 20% of 700,000, so 70,000 to 140,000 are in the chameleon category, where they're somehow getting away with masking safety records and or, who knows what they're doing in coordination or just in terms of exploiting the vulnerabilities of secretaries of state's offices around the country, particularly in sanctuary states that give out these illicit CDL licenses too. The audit that was done of Illinois in February, we talked about quite a bit. And this was done with the relevant sub-agency, too, within the Transportation Department, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, which is got, as I learned from the 60 Minutes piece, some like 350 investigators for 700,000 companies. Nearly 1 in 5 CDL licenses, non-domiciled CDL licenses issued by the state of Illinois were issued illegally. 20%. There's a 20% number again. 20% the margin of error for government oversight. Well, that results in a lot of bad things happening to a lot of innocent people. So clearly that needs to be tightened up, and there needs to, it seems to me, there needs to be some accountability on the employer side, on the carrier side. You need to make an example of some of these companies. And the good news is the Trump administration and the person who's in charge of that sub-agency is taking a new attitude, and they are focused on sort of the top 10 apparent scofflaws that they're investigating, focus and make an example, and hopefully that radiates throughout the industry such that people are less inclined to believe they can get away with it, then less inclined to do it. And by the way, one of those trucking companies, the one actually profiled in the 60 Minutes piece, has a distribution point in Elmhurst in Illinois. The safety record, the comparison of the safety record with these chameleon carriers versus the ones following the letter as well as the spirit of the law.
We're having crashes all the time. So you got 260 million other Americans on the highway sharing it with 700,000 trucking companies. You have a moral, ethical responsibility to share the road safely with those people. But when you've got 10 to 20% that are not doing that, that's an issue.
An issue that contributed to the more than 5,300 truck-related deaths in 2024. According to data gathered by Fusible, a risk assessment firm, chameleon carriers are 4 times more likely to be involved in a crash like this. The culprit in this case? A tractor-trailer tied to a network called Super Ego Holding. Its driver was going 72 miles an hour when it plowed into this school bus, critically injuring 2 children.
Mm-hmm. I mean, right, we remember the Florida, the illegal alien driver of the semi-truck that tried to do a U-turn on a Florida expressway and killed, I think 3 Haitian migrants? Right, the point there, you're sharing the road with hundreds of millions of people, and there's some responsibility there, moral as well as legal. More on Super Ego.
Under the Super Ego umbrella that stretches from Serbia to the U.S. is a vast network of separate but coordinated companies that provide brokers who book deliveries, dispatchers, and leases for tractors and trailers. Subsidiaries operate the trucks and hire drivers like Daniel Sanchez under lease-to-own contracts.
I've seen how much they don't care about you. They literally don't care about any driver on the road at all.
Daniel Sanchez had been driving commercial rigs for 8 years when he was recruited by Super Ego in 2025.
They'd have me go out and do anything to get the money, no matter what the risk. They don't care if I got a violation or went to jail, whatever, for any reason. The next day, they'd have another driver in that truck and keep on going.
Can't be safe for the driver, can't be safe for us on the road.
Anybody.
Super Ego branded trucks started hauling freight across America 7 years ago. It was founded by Serbian entrepreneur Alexander Mimic and has grown into a sprawling enterprise tied to more than 24 U.S.-based carriers, with hubs in Elmhurst, Illinois, and Jacksonville, Florida, and customers as large as Amazon, Walmart, Costco, and the United States Postal Service.
Give us a call.
Super Ego Holding uses flashy recruitment campaigns
Get the best deal with Super Ego Holding.
To lure drivers, including Daniel Sanchez.
They promise you the world. They say you can make $8,000 to $10,000, $12,000 a week.
So did Super Ego live up to any of those promises?
Not at all.
60 Minutes spoke with 7 drivers who told us Serbia-based managers routinely skimmed hundreds to thousands of dollars off their pay in excessive fees for their lease, insurance, and repairs. The class action lawsuit calls it a scheme to defraud drivers.
Yeah, so there's that going on, too, and they went through the details on that with the Sanchez case as illustrative about, basically the terms of the lease not being abided on the super ego side and manipulation of splits in terms of compensation. The other thing, too, here is especially, they're caring for, Amazon and Costco, the U.S. Post Office. Gee, do you think a company that is engaged in these sorts of practices should have federal contracts? There's a good place to start. Hey, Department of Transportation, somebody over at Department of Transportation talk to somebody over at the post office? Good grief. 312-642-5600 is the number for the alphawealthgroup.com call-in line. Talked to a couple truckers. Brian in his truck. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Brian.
Hey, I had a few things to add to that. The 60 Minutes report was spot on. There was nothing that they were off on and all that. And this has been getting worse years and years out here. And one of the other things is with these trucks and the technology, it's allowed these people to do this. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you did not have GPS in your car. You did not have a translator on your phone. Many of the trucks were a standard transmission, a stick, not an automatic. But the industry has largely switched to automatics. These guys really don't have to learn a whole lot. They throw them in the truck, give them a phone, they press D on the dash, truck goes in drive, and away they go. They're not, you don't have to be real qualified to do that. And I get along these guys, in traffic all day. I see them. They got their feet up on the dash. They're watching TV. They're doing anything but driving. It's sickening.
Let me ask you a question, too, because one of the things, if you saw the 60 Minutes piece, which sounds like you did, made mention, too, how this super ego would game the clocks. You can't drive more than 11 hours. And that Sanchez guy that they profiled said they pushed him. He drove 18 hours once, and he's just like, I'm stopping. I can't do it anymore. They're manipulating and obviously not following federal law with respect to mandatory rest time.
Oh, that's been going on for years, probably since the beginning of trucking. But you, as the driver, are essentially the captain of the ship, and you got to tell them no. And in regards to super ego, they're one of the biggest pieces of trash out here, and of course, Chicago-based. Wouldn't have it any other way. Along with many of these other guys, but if I've been around Northern Illinois all my life. I've grown up in trucking. I'm the president of our antique truck club in Northern Illinois around here. So I've been around it all my life. It's gotten, in the last 20 years, just terrible with these guys. And the good guys are largely out of the business. They've bailed out. They're not around anymore. And going back to your question there, they do fudge the log books. It's a little harder these days because they're electronic, but if the company is in control of the log book, then they can go in and phony that up. And as compared to the old days, some of the operators out here, if you look at the older trucks, they would have the guy's name on the door. It was, we'll just say Johnson Trucking, and it says the town they're from, and it has their phone number on it. Now, You look at the truck, it's ABC 123 on the side, and just like in that report, they crash, they peel the name off of it. Now it's 123 or ABCD trucking or whatever it is. They switch. They don't care. They
Well, let me ask you.
Crash.
Yeah,
go
let me ask you a question about that because it wasn't asked in the 60 Minutes piece. But so a guy crashes and then they strip off the name and the DOT number and they put a new name with a new DOT number. Well, how are they getting that new DOT number? I mean, shouldn't the DOT be cross-checking if Super Ego has a crash and they want now they want a new whether it's a holding company, some other name, but you should be able to cross-check sort of the corporate structure so that you're picking up what they're doing because it's not that artful, really, if it's so easy just to get a new number associated with a new name and that's the extent of it.
Yeah, you would think. Yes, I mean what you're asking. Yes, all this should be checked into. It used to be checked into. They were very stringent many years ago. If there's a rule in trucking, how should I phrase this? There's a rule for everything in trucking, even down to the size of the lettering on the side of the truck. And back in the day, they used to really bust your chops about that stuff. And depending on what state you're in, and Illinois being a sanctuary state, they've been looking the other direction on a lot of this stuff. We shake our heads, friends of mine, and we see some of this garbage going down the road, and it's astounding. We're like, 30 years ago, you'd have never gotten away with that stuff. Just equipment violations, no lettering, no license plates. I see these guys during the day. They have tar smeared on their license plates. That way they can't get picked up by iPass. Nobody can run the plates on them. And I can see it. How is it not visible to DOT? I could point out 20 a day that should be taken off the road.
Yeah, or state police for that matter. Yeah. Thanks for the call, Brian. Appreciate it. David, Bristol, Wisconsin.
Hey, Dan, good morning. That driver summed up so much. I just want to add on, I did not see the 60 Minutes expose. I'm sure it sounds wonderful. As a guy who's out here on the road, I'm in Idaho right at the moment. I took a walk around yesterday, and I would say 50% of the trucks in this truck stop are illegal. And you can tell just by who they are. Flip-flops, sweatsuits. It's very obvious they use the truck as a weapon. Just like the other driver said, they do not care. They are watching TV. The foot with, no socks on is up on the dash. All those trucks that are hopping in the far left lane on any given state and 294, those guys, that's what you look for. If you were able to look at those drivers that are hopping in those two left lanes and blocking traffic with the whole I don't care attitude, those are foreign drivers. A lot of males that came in during the Biden administration, where do you think they ended up at? It wasn't in factories. It wasn't in retail. They got into trucks. They started trucking companies because, like the other gentleman said, it's so easy to start. There are trucking YouTube channels that expose all this. And when you hear about Delilah's Law, this is what is going to put an end to this. The chameleon carriers. The system needs to be majorly revamped because it's a tangled web. I literally watch guys at the truck stop or at shippers, receivers, peel off the side of their truck and put something new on the side. And they are foreign. They are Pakistani. They are Middle Eastern, of all that, Russian. It happens in plain sight. I could videotape it all day. I've even considered making a YouTube channel of my own to expose this. So, it's bad, and I we need ice at truck stops. The weigh stations need to be open, and largely they're not. I can drive pretty much all the way across country, and at times maybe hit one or two weigh stations. And
that's really interesting. The left lane tell is really interesting too. That makes a lot of sense actually.
Respectful drivers.
Yeah,
we know 294 is backed up, and those guys that hop in, and I'll be talking to my wife, and these guys are weaving in and out. That's a telltale. They don't care. They do not care one bit.
Thanks for the call, David. Appreciate the perspective. Barb, Northwest Indiana.
Hi, Dan. Thanks for taking my call. You guys kind of stole my thunder. As a non-trucker, someone who drives rush hour, I was going to bring up the left lane, the second to the left lane. They're just hanging out, and they're almost, you're afraid to do anything. You can't do anything. I don't like to drive in the left lane, and I'm kind of forced to just to get around the lack of courtesy of the truck drivers of today. It's scary. It's almost like a pay-to-play has to happen for something to be done. The pay-to-play from a few years back with the
Willis family. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I know. I mean, it's a way we learn no lessons. Of course we haven't.
No, and that was just Illinois. This is at a national level. I mean, this is horrible out there. It's scary to drive on the road with these guys out there.
Thanks for the call, Barb. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You know what really keeps me up at night? It's the criminals feel more and more bold. They have no fear of any consequences because there are none. So I did what anyone with a family should do. I called Goldilocks. They're not just some cookie-cutter security company. Goldilocks has been protecting Chicagoland homes and businesses for 4 decades, 40 years. And they actually listen. Their technician comes out to the house. He takes a look at what you need to make your house a smart home with a security system you can monitor from anywhere. It's built specifically for me and my family. Motion sensors, smart locks, cameras, monitoring, all customized. I don't trust anybody in Illinois to protect my family. I do it, and I did it by calling Goldilocks. I trust Goldilocks to keep my house, my property, and my family safe. Tell them Sean Thompson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months free monitoring with any new installation. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:38, we'll talk to Jack Burns, Professor Emeritus in the Department of Astrophysical and Planetary Sciences at the University of Colorado, about the Artemis II mission. What are the key takeaways, and where do we go from here as we set our sights, towards space, the final frontier, and all that. Jack Burns, 8:38. Now let's check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 65 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A 10-year-old girl is dead and an 18-year-old man is in critical condition following a house fire. Officials say that blaze broke out this morning in the Washington Heights neighborhood. The 10-year-old was found inside the burning home. She was rushed to the hospital where she later died from her injuries. The cause of that fire is under investigation. A Chicago man is going to federal prison for carjacking a family at their Chicago home back in 2023. Damari Connor was sentenced to 14 and a half years in prison after pleading guilty earlier this year. Prosecutors say Connor and Kenneth Merritt carjacked an Audi sedan in the backyard of a home in Chicago's Beverly neighborhood back in November of 2023 after a woman and her daughter had just returned home. Connor punched the woman in the face and then pointed a loaded handgun at her and her husband. The carjackers took the Audi and drove off. Merritt Hart pleaded guilty earlier this year to carjacking and firearm offenses. He'll be sentenced in June. News as a service of American Beam and Steel structural repair licensed contractors for your home and business. Search for American Beam and Steel online to schedule your consultation directly with the owner, Mark. American Beam and Steel. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Hugh Hewitt defends the president.
And so all those presidents you mentioned, they all said Iran couldn't have a nuclear weapon. Well, now we've gone after their nuclear capacity once. They began to rebuild it again. We went after it a second time, and they closed the Strait of Hormuz. So they escalated. We have to control the ladder of escalation. I don't see an alternative. What was the president supposed to do? Let them rebuild it?
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Alex Marlowe at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Platform safety is so important in your industrial facility. You need to keep personnel safe and meet OSHA requirements. Experience one problem with your platforms, and you could be facing costly fines or worse. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to keep your employees safe.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. As a metal fabricator, I know the importance of keeping your workplace safe. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor, uniquely equipped to design, fabricate, and install safety equipment including steel catwalks, handrails, stairways, and ladders. Our team of union building trades mechanics can inspect existing systems, engineer solutions, fabricate quality steel products, and install it all, creating a safer workplace environment.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free inspection of your building. See what else they can do for you. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
Now that spring is here, it's time for some spring home maintenance.
That's cold!
Hot water issues? Call CenterGuard Plumbing. Right now, get a new 40-gallon atmospheric vent water heater installed for just $1,295 standard installation, or a 50-gallon for $1,395 standard installation with free haul away of your old tank. A proud sponsor of AM 560, you'll save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on tankless and atmospheric vent water heaters with CenterGuard Plumbing. Plus, get 10% off any licensed plumbing contractor competitor's price. CenterGuard Plumbing is Chicagoland's same-day water heater experts. Call before noon and they can schedule your repair or install the same day on in-stock water heaters. You're only a text away from install today. Call 847-406-8883. Mention AM 560 to receive spring special pricing. That's 847-406-8883. Call or text 847-406-8883 or visit centerguardplumbing.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling. Stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4everremodeling.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. 15 in, 22 out on the Edens from Lake Hook to Montrose, 43 in, 40 out on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange, inbound express lanes, slow down between Kimball Avenue and Ohio Street, 39 minutes both ways on the Ike from Wolf to the Old Post Office, stop and go inbound on the Stevenson at Cicero Avenue with a stall in the center lane, so we're looking at 58 minutes inbound from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. Outbound is 41, 31 in, 12 out on the Dan Ryan from 95th to Burn Interchange, inbound express lanes jammed between the Chicago Skyway and the Stevenson, and it is solid northbound Lakeshore Drive between Foster Avenue and Hollywood Avenue. This report is a service of Lowe's. More pots, more plants, and more deals. It's Giving Spring Fest at Lowe's. Save on gardening staples with Green Premium 2 cubic feet mulch, 5 bags for $10, plus get 1 pint annuals for $1. Valid through 4/22 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly cloudy, breezy, and warm with a high temperature reaching 80 degrees, approaching the record high of 83 set in 2023. Expect a thunderstorm in the area later this afternoon. Tonight will be overcast, breezy, and warm with a low temperature of 66 degrees, along with a chance of a thunderstorm in the area. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. The post splashdown presser, the Artemis 2 astronauts. Tell you what, it was really impressive from beginning to end. You can't argue that these astronauts, I know one was Canadian, but great ambassadors for space exploration and for America's space program specifically. Victor Glover, who's had some really thoughtful things to say throughout the course of the nation's attention on these astronauts and this Artemis II flight, had this to say at their, as I said, post-splashdown press conference, where you could really see the camaraderie and affinity the astronauts had for one another. It was nice.
When this started on April 3rd, I wanted to thank God in public, and I want to thank God again, because even bigger than my challenge trying to describe what we went through, the gratitude of seeing what we saw, doing what we did, and being with who I was with, it's too big to just be in one.
God and science can coexist. Who knew? Mission specialist Jeremy Hansen
was a group of people who loved contributing, having meaningful contribution, and extracting joy out of that. And what we've been hearing is that was something special for you to witness. And the reason I had them form up here with me is because I would suggest to you that when you look up here, you're not looking at us. We are a mirror reflecting you. And if you like what you see, then just look a little deeper. This is you. Dude, come on.
For more on this mission and what it portends for Artemis III, Jack Burns joins us, Professor Emeritus in the Department of Astrophysical and Planetary Sciences and Professor Emeritus in the Department of Physics at the University of Colorado in Boulder. He's also the Associate Director of the Colorado Space Policy Center. Professor Burns, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, it's great to be with you this morning, and always good to hear Frank first thing in the morning singing "Fly Me to the Moon."
Yes, exactly. Well, it's appropriate. So your sort of just summary of this mission, both in terms of this flight and both in terms of the mission as well as the execution.
Well, I think we all saw that it was highly successful from the launch, which I've been telling folks I haven't seen a human launch go off that precisely, with a countdown beginning several hours in advance and then launch exactly on time with no holes, all the way to the successful splashdown in the Pacific Ocean the other day. It was pretty much beginning to end a total success for NASA.
And again, this mission, I mean, generally speaking, you can fill in the blanks here, was essentially sort of a test flight, test the systems, test the craft itself for the next flight of the Artemis program, which is intended for making a moon landing, right?
The next one actually is going to be an orbital mission. Artemis 3 is now going to probably orbit high above the Earth and practice rendezvous with several of the craft that will land on the moon for Artemis 4. So this is a recent change that the NASA administrator, Isaacman, has made.
Okay, so we're another flight away from another moon landing.
We are. The big hurdle next will be to get these two spacecraft, one from SpaceX and the other from Blue Origin, the two landers, to be checked out, to practice landing on the moon without astronauts before we're ready to go for a full human landing on the moon in a few years.
And then, you know, the bigger picture for Americans to understand about this is all in the interests of, I understand, exploration and understanding our universe and so forth. But But are there tangible goals that we're looking to achieve through the space program? In the foreseeable future for national security, for commercial development. I don't know.
Definitely, all of those things are true because unlike the Apollo program in the 1960s and 1970s, which was just a large government program with goals to just try to get boots on the surface of the moon. That's all we could achieve with the technology in those days. Today, I think we have a whole group of space entrepreneurs, a number of different companies whose goal is to begin evolving us to be an interplanetary species. First by living off the land on the moon, and eventually to do so on Mars, and begin further exploration of our solar system. So that all is been possible as a result of 50 years of technology development that makes spaceflight a lot less expensive and open to the private sector and other countries as well.
I hate to get into the realm of conspiracy theorizing, but since some of it has been in the news recently, and from members of Congress, a representative from Tennessee, Tim Burchett, talking about briefings that he has had that would, essentially sounded like War of the Worlds, that there would be rioting in the streets if people had been, if the American people had been privy to what he's been privy to regarding space program, alien life, what hasn't been disclosed about both. I mean, what's your reaction or sort of advice and counsel on how to receive information like that? He can't talk specifically about it because it's classified. He thinks there should be as maximal transparency. But, you make statements like that and you have people, of course, thinking about, E.T. phoning home and whatnot.
Well, I have not myself seen any such documentation, and I've been working in and around NASA for over 45 years. I like to say to people, NASA is very bad at keeping secrets. So if there was such a thing going on, I think they would have blabbed about it by now. I mean, there are certainly unexplained phenomena that occur in the atmosphere and that require further investigation. But in terms of aliens running around the surface of the Earth, I've not seen any evidence of that, and I don't know anybody else who's seen the evidence of such a thing.
And in terms of, I don't know if it's possible to succinctly characterize it, but the one of the obvious questions from the layman is, so we went to the moon in '69, and then it took us almost 60 years to go back. So why? And what have the technological advancements been compared to what it was for the Apollo mission?
Well, we need to go back to 1970 when Richard Nixon canceled the Apollo program with still 3 missions to go. The rockets already built, the landers already built. This was would have been Apollo 18, 19, and 20. The view at that time was the space program, the Apollo program was very expensive. At its peak, about 4.5% of the entire U.S. government budget was being dedicated to NASA and the moon program. Today, that's less than 0.4%. So that's a full order of magnitude less than that. So what's happened is it's taken technology some time, 50 plus years, to catch up. So that today, now, going to the moon is not that big of a deal. I had a payload, a radio telescope, sent to the moon just 2 years ago now on a NASA commercial lander that got us there for about $100 million altogether, a fraction of the billions of dollars that it cost during Apollo. And we're able to, for the first time, start exploring the cosmos at these low radio frequencies. So really it's a matter of technology catching up, the costs of rockets, propulsion systems, avionics, computers, the use of advanced AI tools. All of that now makes space exploration much more viable than it was in the 1960s.
And the Artemis 3, that's going to do that lunar mission that you mentioned. That's scheduled for 27.
Yeah, Artemis 3. This is the orbiting mission that we talked about.
Yeah, the orbiting mission,
the practice rendezvous and docking will be 27, and then sometime after that, and hopefully before the end of the decade, we will have the human astronauts landing on the moon, the first humans on the moon in the 21st century.
Jack Burns is Professor Emeritus in the Department of Astrophysical and Planetary Sciences and Professor Emeritus in the Department of Physics at the University of Colorado at Boulder. He's also Associate Director of the Colorado Space Policy Center. Professor Burns, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
You're absolutely welcome. It was fun.
And he joined us on the alphawealth.com answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Your family and friends love you, but they hate seeing you in pain all the time, especially heading into vacation season. Allow me to recommend my friends at QC Kinetics. They'll take care of your pain and have you going right on with your day. It's that easy. Listen, if you answer yes to more than one of these questions, you're a great candidate. Do you have consistent joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or back? Does pain rob you from a good night's sleep? Are you missing work or saying no to activities you otherwise love doing? Are you taking painkillers? If this is you, then today could be your day to turn that corner and get real relief. With 5 Chicagoland locations and weekend appointments, QC Kinetics treatments are easy. They're done in the office. Consultations are free. And I've seen the results in person myself, and that's why I recommend QC Kinetics. So don't wait. This will be the most meaningful thing you can do for yourself and those who love you. Call now, 312-827-6261. Again, that number, 312-827-6261. Address the pain by calling QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available, financing is flexible, and at Air Right installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job. Really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959. You need a construction company, but who?
Call Crosscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
AM 560, The Answer.
Well, there's reason to have hope for America. I'll tell you why. Because young men like Jaden Cintron are coming up. Jaden Cintron is a Chick-fil-A employee in North Carolina.
Jaden Cintron was hard at work at Chick-fil-A on Monday. But on Good Friday, his character was tested and he passed with flying colors. Kinston police say on Friday, almost $10,000 in cash was left in the restaurant's men's restroom beside the toilet. Cintron walked into the stall during his break like he always does and saw the cash.
Then I just picked it up and I brought it to Human Resources.
The money was inside 2 envelopes when he found it. I asked him why he didn't just keep the money for himself.
But that's not what Jesus would have done. That's not what God would have wanted.
Cintron said his faith guides his thought process.
Money is useless without character.
Kinston Police Chief Keith Goyette said it's amazing that Cintron did what he knew was right.
A lot of people will unfortunately take that money and run with it, but kudos to that employee at Chick-fil-A. Definitely deserves an award.
John McFall is the owner of the Chick-fil-A in Kinston. He said Cintron embodies the Chick-fil-A way.
A true leadership, true integrity is doing the right thing when no one's watching. And Jay did that in this case, and, he should be commended for it.
Cintron said the owner of the money found out he turned it in and offered him $500 for his good deed. Cintron declined the money several times before eventually accepting it. He said he didn't want a cash reward for simply doing what was right.
I don't want anything out of this. I did this because that's what Jesus would do.
Why is somebody bringing $10,000 into Chick-fil-A? That's a good question. I don't know. Meeting his bookie after March Madness. Hopefully Jaden can rise to the level of the CEO because the the third generation is starting to fall down on the job a bit when it comes to Chick-fil-A stated values. It's now 9 o'clock on AM 560 Chicago.
This is a Fox News alert. A blockade begins. I'm Dave Anthony. Imposed by President Trump starting now in the Strait of Hormuz, blocking ships into and out of Iran.
Iran will not be able to sell oil, and that will be very effective.